The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. Real truth about the gun culture and stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 190. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and now over on Twitter through Periscope, wherever Periscope sends it. I don't know. It's just something that it popped up on my StreamYard, so we're going out to more places. It is what it is. If you're on the Twitter sphere out there, which I think is a cesspool, hey, welcome to the dark side. Speaking of dark side, happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you and all of that stuff. We are live as always on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter and all that. If you're in here live, make sure you say hello. We don't know that you're out there unless you do say something. If you're new to the channel, new to the show, then let us know where you're from. We will try to give you a shout out and all of that. We can't promise you that we're going to make you any smarter. We just hope not to make you any dumber. If you are listening in podcast form or watching this in replay, the conversation doesn't have to end now. Go ahead and utilize that comment section below and ask any questions, make any comments, and we'll get those answered as quickly as we can. If you are wanting to call, yes, you can call into the show or text. Utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates at theguncleaners.com. That phone number is 530-364-4678. I believe that they're just out there. I just saw them and hope they're doing well up in Idaho. They've made the journey up north from Texas, which, you know, it's what it is. But, you know, I guess Idaho gained some good people. If you are a veteran, if you're anyone really, but if you're a veteran, especially, and you are in that dark place, in that hole, and you can't find that light, or hell, you're even questioning whether there's still light out there, please call me, text me, email me 24/7. I can't give you medical advice, but I might be a pretty decent shoulder and some ears to talk to and maybe help you out in some way. If you're looking for someone that can get you medical attention and medical help and all of that, please remember two things. First, you are not alone. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to help you. And two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So contact the Veteran Crisis Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255, the Veteran Crisis Hotline. Ironically, I'm wearing a bracelet here. Ironically, we were at Wanamaker, and they had a booth there. The Veteran Crisis Line actually had a booth at Wanamaker, and it was towards the end of it. And I stopped by, I was like, holy cow, what's going on, guys? And this, that, and the other. They had all sorts of stuff. And and they gave me all sorts of stuff to take home and give away. So I've got stress balls with the number on there. I've got plenty of these. I've got hundreds of these. And I've got some dog tags with the number on there. If you want any of these, send me an email and I'll get them sent out to you. If you want to give them away, I'm going to give them. If you want something for yourself, let me know. Just trying to get the message out there to as many people as we can. If you know a veteran or know some veteran organizations that might want to give these out or whatever, yeah, let me know and we'll make sure we get some to you for sure. We are a part of the Self-Defense Radio Network, as you can see up there. If you guys are looking for other great pro-gun, pro-freedom podcasts that are in one place, check out selfdefenseradio.net and all of that jazz. So, holy cow. I keep getting worse. I used to think that I was getting better at that spiel, but I'm getting worse at it. So it looks like we've been joined by the Clover Lorian and all of that. Like I said, it is May the 4th, but let's say hey to everybody real quick. We got the Rogue Banshee in the house. What's up, Holmes?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on. It's going to be a good topic to talk about, especially with all the political environment going on.
Yeah, I think that's there's a lot of stuff going on across the country. We're going to get into that as well. Shep, hello from Indiana. Gun lover, do not let the government run over We shall not be infringed. God save us the right to be free and bear arms. Amen to that. From Oklahoma, the Okie. This guy is royalty in Oklahoma. I mean, this guy is the man. What's up, Snob?
What's this? What is today? Star Trek Day? What is Star Trek, anyways? I don't even know what this we're even talking about.
Is that what it is? That right there? Yeah. I'm not a Star Trek guy. I really never did.
Be careful. I think that's a racist gang symbol. Just saying. Be careful.
Very well could be. I was never a big Star Trek. I've watched maybe the last couple of the movies, and I know people have been crapping on those, but I was never a big Star Trek show or early. The only one that I ever remember watching, actually liking, it was back when I was a kid, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was the one with the guy from Mr. Rourke from Fantasy Island. He played, I can't remember what he played.
Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan. That's right. He played Khan. You guys are probably not old enough to remember Fantasy Island. I am. But yes, Wrath of Khan is the only one of the old stuff that I remember actually liking. But I was a Star Trek. I was a Star Wars guy, and I'm sure there are people that like both. But I think most of the people, you're either a Star Trek or a Star Wars. It's the way it goes. But we do have the Clover Lorian joining us. Guns are a part of your religion, apparently.
This is the way.
This is the way. Yes. So, happy May the 4th, guys. I don't know if you guys, I know that I am not the biggest Star Wars nerd on the panel. I'm pretty sure I'm the second biggest. I don't come close to Clover, but I am a big Star Wars fan and all that. And so, yeah. Let's see here. J-Dub's out there. He says, hey, all. Good evening from behind enemy lines in Monterey, California. Monterey Peninsula is beautiful. Beautiful up there in the Bay Area. But it's Carmel and I'm pretty sure that's where Monterey. I mean, it's on the Monterey Peninsula, I'm assuming. But Pebble Beach and all that stuff, I believe, is up there. Beautiful, beautiful area. So, yeah, a lot of people out there, maybe some new ones out there. It's great. They're talking smack about Stargate and Battlestar. You're talking Greek to me. I have no idea what Stargate and Battlestar is. I don't know. But so before we get going into the topic, Banshee, Snob, Clover, anything happened? We didn't have a show last week. It was my 25th wedding anniversary. More importantly, it was the Battle Pup's 1-year-old birthday on the same day. My wife can't hear me because I got the door closed, so we'll just say that. But
congratulations on that, the 25 years. I mean, congratulations to her for putting up with you for that long.
That's the thing. but here's the thing, though. People that know us both really well know that I'm not the one to be scared of. She has that dark, evil streak to her. She runs the household. It is her casa, No, it's all good. But anything happened the last couple of weeks? I know that, Clover's diving. He's going head balls into the, oh, Lord, look at that logo. Hold on, folks. Hold on. This, my friend, the only thing that's missing is like a leprechaun-styled helmet on there. But the Mandalorian helmet. But that's pretty cool. I'm digging it. So I have a feeling that we're going to be going through a lot of these different logos throughout the night. So be paying attention to Clover's screen and the bottom right, I guess it would be. But yeah, anything happened in the last couple weeks? You guys want to bring up anything that's happened, whether it's with your own channel or anything, but anything cool has happened with you guys? Feel free to just jump in.
I successfully took a vacation.
Hey, how about that? I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it's just, I usually don't get a chance to take vacation. It's just one of those things of just work and other things. The channel stuff comes in, and my wife and I decided to take the dogs, and we left town for a little bit for 3 days and found a nice cabin to go chill out and did some hiking.
I love it. Defense Dad says the kiddo's 6th grade band concert just got over. They finished with Star Wars. Pretty good way to do it on May the 4th. Someone was smart enough to realize what day it was when they scheduled this band concert. So I'm digging that. Well done. Yeah, and Snob did give out the this is the complaint department is 1-800 Yankee Marshall. More importantly, if you have a complaint about anything that we're doing on the channel, and this is real, this is not a joke, this is real, and you have to complain about something, I have no problem hearing your complaints. Just send them to shootingleftofcenter@gmail.com, and that's a real email address. It will not get sent back to you. It's a real one. That is our complaint department. And yeah, shootingleftofcenter@gmail.com is our complaint. So blow us up if you don't like what we're doing. I'm all for it. Matter of fact, the more email complaints that we get, the better, because that way we can make sure that we can fix things. Snob and Clover, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Blow that thing up. Snob, anything going on with you? I know that you're actually putting some content out again. It's been a while. You've been working your tail off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a video that'll go live later tonight or tomorrow or something.
Nice. I saw Sarge put something out. It's been like forever since Sarge put something
I don't know
out.
what happened to Sarge. He hasn't been working any extra. I think he just fell off the face of the earth, you know.
Well, so I mean, here's the thing, and people don't realize that this YouTube thing is fun. Don't get me wrong, but it can take a toll, and you can get burned out really quickly. And sometimes it is nice to just kind of get away and not worry about it, and then get rejuvenized, and we're ready to go. But that happens. Anything in Oklahoma 2A before we kind of jump into the 2A stuff? Anything going on in Oklahoma?
I mean, we just continue to be better than Texas at 2A's all. You know, we're getting
Right
a lot
now,
better, even more stuff.
You know, but if you combine with Oklahoma and Arkansas,
Don't take much.
Well, I was going to say, if you combine what Arkansas and Oklahoma have done the 2A just this year, I think Texas should be embarrassed.
They should be. I mean, Oklahoma did not. Whenever I was, just a few years back, Oklahoma had kind of crappy gun laws, to be honest, 10 years ago. And then they've really changed a lot in the last 10 years. And I don't know why Texas isn't keeping up. Texas is known for being gun friendly, and they can't keep up.
Is going purple, man. They're going purple, and we'll bring Clover in to rebut that statement. But Clover, for anyone that doesn't know what's going on, obviously you've been doing a lot of stuff, especially for the constitutional carry bill that's in Texas. We'll kind of kick this conversation off. And before we jump into the specifics and all that, do you want to give people out there that might be from Texas or following this, maybe an update as to where things stand?
Yeah. Word on the street, we don't know yet, but it passed out of committee, the Senate committee. So it means the House has already passed it, and it possibly is going to the Senate floor tomorrow is kind of what we're hearing. We've got to keep pressure on Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, which is head of the Senate, of course, as well as, if you recognize any of these names in particular, you need to be making some calls come tomorrow. But Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Senator Nelson, Senator Nichols, Senator Betancourt, Senator Taylor, Senator Huffman, and Senator Seliger. And the number for the Austin switchboard is 512-463-4630. Definitely give those folks a call as soon as you can, and repeatedly. Call them often if you must. They are not, and I've talked to every one of them's office, and there's some that they don't want to answer the question, where do you stand? There's some that privately will tell you they're for it. But those 6, and they're all Republicans. I'm not being partisan here, but those are all Republicans, and they have not made a public statement as to where they stand. So we need to get on their butts about that. There seems to be this misconception that it needs 18 votes to get out of the Senate. It only needs 16 votes to get out of the Senate, and there's 18
Republicans. Yeah,
there is 18 Republicans. So I think that's where the mix-up comes. So get on your senators.
So did you say when it is scheduled to be heard on the floor? Is that tomorrow, you said, or do you know?
We're hearing maybe tomorrow. I don't have an agenda. I don't have an agenda for tomorrow. So yeah, we don't know that. I guess is what I'm telling you. We at this point we don't know. when it's going to the Senate floor. But word on the street is potentially tomorrow.
Now, Mr. Knives is from California too. He's dropping the hammer on you. Said Texas is the new California. Wow, Dim's are fight words. Holy,
I wouldn't go quite that far, Mr.
I mean, that's pushing it.
That's like saying beef jerky is the new chocolate. It's like, I don't know about that. I like me some beef jerky.
I'll tell you, we're starting to see a lot of Texas tags up here in Montana.
Do what?
We're starting to see a lot of Texas tags up here in Montana.
Oh, yeah.
G23 says, was it Kansas or Missouri that passed 18-year-old? I don't know if it's passed or it's been signed yet.
Yes.
Missouri, I know about Kansas, but I know Missouri tried to do something that if you were, and I don't know exactly where it stands, but I want to say that if you're 18 years old and a college student, a full-time college student, that would give you an exemption to be able to protect yourself on campus. I don't know where that stands. I don't know if that was 100%. I just remember hearing something about that. But Snob, do you know more about
Kansas? Kansas just passed the 18 to 20-year-old concealed carry, and their governor vetoed it. But their state, whatever their state is, their legislature in the state overrode the veto and put it through. So yeah, it's law.
So interestingly enough, and we're going to talk about this, is we had the 2A Sovereignty Act, which was the 2A, our version of the 2A Sanctuary Act, that basically said that NFA, the 68, I mean, everything that is anti-gun in the federal docket is now null and void in the state of Arkansas. And on top of that, if you are found to be helping, especially if you are a law enforcement agent in the state, and you're found to be helping federal agents on anything that's anti-2A, that you could be fined, imprisoned, and all of that. It passed easily in the Senate and the House, went to the governor's desk last week, and he vetoed it. Almost 2 weeks ago, he vetoed it. The Senate came back and overrid it with only like 2 people voting nay. Went to the House, and this is where it got interesting. Is our session ended on Tuesday at midnight, and we do every other year, whether it's fiscal, legislative, and so we would have to wait for 2 more years to get back into a legislative session. With that being said, at like 7:00 at night, they decided they were going to put up a new bill. And the only thing that they did, and I understand why, they rewrote some of the wording for the law enforcement side that basically said that instead of doing anything that's anti-gun and you can't help federal agencies, we were possibly going to be able to lose like $20-some million in federal funding. That's a large chunk of money for a state the size of Arkansas. And so what they did basically is said, I believe that from what I was reading, is now they changed the wording a little bit to say, law enforcement agencies can help with cases with the federal agencies if a crime that involves a firearm is being investigated, but they cannot assist in anything that has to do with regulation, confiscation, anything like that. So that got passed by the House that night, Tuesday night, went to the Senate, and it was running close into hitting midnight, which means session was over. Governor put them, I think, in special session, and it passed out of the House, and now it's on the governor's desk. And he had said that if they change the wording a little bit, he will sign it. So that's positive. So, where we're going to go with this, first of all, from the okay state of Ohio, what's up budget? I'll take it. I love Cincinnati, but I've never been anywhere else in Ohio, so I don't know.
I'll take it. Hey,
Cincinnati is northern Kentucky, basically,
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Hey, thanks for the invite, man. Sorry I'm late. I was uploading a video and kind of, I kind of couldn't. I didn't get it done in time, so. But I'm here now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Clover, Regnick Boy says Texans vote Chad Prather for governor. Does that name mean anything to you?
That's the cowboy hat wearing dude hooked up with the Blaze, and yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, I didn't know, and there you go. I'm a Texan, but I haven't lived there in 18 years, so I don't know who all the.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, would I take him over many other people? Yes,
sure,
yes,
sure.
But he's. I don't know. I don't want to turn this conversation into off of 2A and onto other things, but
into a Texas chat. We don't either.
Well, what I'm saying is this is a 2A thing, right? We're talking about 2A sanctuary and other things, and my issues with him are not 2A related. Let's just put it that way.
Gotcha. So the discussion is going to come. Obviously, since the beginning of this year, it's been awesome, and we saw this coming. At least in Arkansas, we saw stuff building up over the last several years. We went from concealed carry permit to an enhanced concealed carry to then dropping, basically making the permit renewal fees like non-existent, like $25 for 5 years. So there are steps, and then we go to constitutional carry. So we did it incrementally, which I thought was a great thing. Instead of trying to keep pushing constitutional carry down the throat and keep getting voted down, we went it step by step, just how the Dems do a lot of stuff, just death by 1,000 cuts, and then it's worked.
So let me ask this: when you were doing those incremental steps, because Texas has worked the same thing for years. Yeah. Constitutional carry was always something put forth and on the table, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's like here's our Hail Mary card, but you know what? We'll take this over here, and that's a play that the left does to us all the time, right? Yep. Assault weapon ban, right? And then they go, "Oh, let's just get rid of pump stock."
Every Congress session, everyone, and you're right. This is the playbook that the left has used for decades. They'll throw the Hail Mary pass, but at the same time, they're also handing the ball off and getting a yard here, getting a yard there.
Yep.
And that's how they've won.
Is the Hail Mary not the side distraction that the magician's using? We're gonna distract you over here, but this is what we're really doing.
It's the pump fake while they're getting 2 and 3 yards at a time is what it is.
Yeah. To put it in bullfighting terms, it's the red cape. Behind that red cape, when you're looking at the red cape and charging at the red cape, they're going to stick you in the side with the sword when you're not looking. And that's exactly what they've been doing. They've been giving us the death of 1,000 cuts. And before we know it, our rights are the equivalent of down about 6 pints of blood and we're ready to die. So,
well, that's true. That's true. But the opposite can be said as well. We're utilizing those tactics effectively, as Ghost mentioned in Arkansas, as we are here in Texas and Oklahoma and other states. We're using those same tactics effectively. So what we've got to do is we got to keep our eye long term. There's people that will say, and I'll use the constitutional carry in Texas as an example. There are people that say there's like 4 or 5 amendments. If those amendments get in there, I don't want it. You know what? I don't care if they put every one of those freaking amendments in there. Pass the freaking bill. In 2 years, we can go back and we can whittle away and readdress some stuff, but pass the stupid thing, right? I'm not an all or nothing person. And unfortunately, we've got people out there that can't see the forest for the trees. They get all huffy over one little thing, and they don't see that if we can just get the ball and move it forward, how often does government rescind legislation? Almost never, correctly?
Yep.
Correct?
Hard to do. Yes, it is very hard to do.
The key, knowing that, and everybody knows that, once they enact legislation, it's there for frickin' ever. And everybody knows this. So the smart play is to get it passed. It won't go away. Can it be changed and whittled at and modified? Sure, the governments do that all the time, but they'll never take it away if we can ever get it.
That's exactly the strategy we had to adopt here in the wonderful state of Ohio to get concealed carry. The first concealed carry bill we had was absolute piece of dog vomit. But you know what? It's pretty stinking good now because they kept going back and tweaking this and taking that out and putting this in, and now it's pretty doggone good. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Jump snob.
Clover, what you were saying about that, like last year when our constitutional carry passed, they threw an amendment in there that kept you from being able, if you did not have a permit, from being able to carry in a restaurant that served alcohol. Everyone hated it. Of course, it's dumb because if you have a permit, you're fine.
Yep.
Well, this year, that was one of the first bills they got signed, was to get rid of that and clean it up.
Yeah.
And it was no trouble.
Yep.
Yeah, we used to have the same retarded stuff. And you know what happened to it? Eventually, it got gone. So, yep.
So that's one of the things that we were in, and that's where the enhanced permit that I have, instead of trying to amend that concealed carry law, what they did about 4 years ago was create an enhanced carry permit that costs you $15 once for the rest of your life. And it allows you to carry inside establishments that allow alcohol. Now, whether or not you choose to do that, I choose not to, just because that's not just very smart in my eyes. But I have the availability to carry inside bars and restaurants. I can carry on government buildings now. I can actually sit down at a table with the governor if I wanted to and concealed carry, which that was not available to the regular concealed carry permit. You can carry on campuses, college campuses with the enhanced and all that. So like I said, we're talking about incremental changes. And instead of trying to do all this on one fell swoop, let's get that one passed. And then we can work on, like Clover said, that ground and pound. Let's just, instead of trying for the Hail Mary, let's threaten the Hail Mary. Let them know that we can throw it 60 yards in the air, but let's go 3 yards at a time.
And let's be looking for that opportunity, right? Let's be looking for that open receiver in the end zone. It could happen. Let's be looking for it. Let's be vigilant. And if that opportunity arises, to take that opportunity. But we, like I said, people want to. That's the only play in their playbook, and we can't win that way.
See, here in Montana, we had something similar with the bars. With a concealed carry permit, we were not allowed to carry in a bar, in a bank, in a state building. Now we passed our constitutional carry. If you don't have a permit, you still can't carry in those places.
Same here.
But if you do have a permit, you can carry in those places. I mean, I know people in the governor's office that the second he carried it, next day, they were concealed carrying inside the governor's office.
So let's go down the constitutional carry side of things, and that'll be our first topic. And is it worth it? This constitutional carry in itself, not from, hey, we all want that. I think we all want that, but taking a step back and saying, is constitutional carry, what benefits does it bring? And I want to go through because I think we're all on the same page, but I want to bring in Rogue. We'll start with you first to say, in your eyes, since you have constitutional carry up there, I mean, has it brought a benefit to your state?
It has. One of the biggest problems we have here is the city of Missoula. City of Helena is kind of a little bit of a problem, but city of Missoula has been the biggest problem. City of Missoula has passed laws about you can't carry here, you can't carry there, even when you have a permit. Those laws went up to our Supreme Court and got struck down. When we passed the constitutional carry this year, what it did is basically took the power away from those municipalities to add restrictions to our carry laws. So therefore, as a concealed carry, the companies that I've worked for, we've had offices in Missoula. When I cross over into the city of Missoula, I'm now relying on a completely different set of laws for my firearm. And that completely cleared that out. So that way, people are saying it's going to be the Wild West and stuff like that. No, it actually cleared things up about what is and is not acceptable in Montana. And that's why I like the concealed carry laws, because it actually does clarify our laws. I don't have to think, okay, I'm in Helena, I get this set of laws. I mean, in Helena, it's still illegal to discharge a firearm. But Helena had a weird law where
limits, I'm assuming inside city
within
limits.
Within city limits.
Okay.
But they also used to have a law where you couldn't carry one in a chamber.
Even for self-defense, it's still against the law to
discharge a firearm inside the city of Helena.
I'll take my chances, I guess, if I had to.
Well,
give me the ticket.
Well, that's the whole thing is you'd rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6, right?
That's right.
So, and technically you could be charged with it. Very rarely would it ever happen because if it was ruled as self-defense. But our laws are now even. It's still illegal for me to discharge my firearm inside the city of Helena. But now, like I said before, they used to have a weird law where you couldn't carry with one in the chamber. You couldn't have one in the chamber in your house.
Are they going to come and check? I mean, come on. That's
basically it would be a traffic stop. And if you had a firearm and they took the firearm from you, and first thing they do is clear the firearm.
You're taking my firearm from me.
Yeah.
Don't think so. Homie.
But what it's done is it's now kind of cleaned up all of our laws. When we passed the constitutional carry, the city of Helena, they freaked out because all of a sudden a lot of their ordinances became null and void, and they needed to clear some of these ordinances up. The chief of police in Helena went to even before it was signed, said, you guys need to be ready for this. There are ordinances even we as the police officers don't enforce. If we run into something like this, we flat out don't enforce it. But now it's illegal. So you guys need to clean that up because I'm using discretion to not to enforce it. But if for some reason it ends up in court, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So the city of Helena had to clean the things up. Missoula fights every gun freedom thing, but they kind of got held. They got held, or they got taken out to the whipping post on this thing.
Nice. Regnick Boys out there says, I talked to a cop on why he didn't like constitutional carry. He said with the license to carry, they run your name and know that you might have a gun without they have to assume that everyone is carrying. What do you think? I think that's a valid point. I mean,
it ain't.
Nope. Negative.
Hold. Can I finish my damn statement here?
No.
Sure.
No.
Sure.
No.
Go ahead.
Denied.
I think that's a valid statement coming from a police officer, coming from the mindset of they might live in an area that gun violence, gang violence is escalated. I can see where that point might be coming from, but that is a specific instance of where you live. Now we'll go to Budget since he was in the law enforcement community for a long time. What say you?
I say it's not a valid point because they already have to assume that. Yep. If they have even the tiniest sliver, thin inkling of a brain and a survival instinct, they damn well better assume that everybody has a gun unless they're proven otherwise. That's my point. Absolutely. So whether you have a license or whether it's a constitutional carry, because, remember the whole thing about criminals is they don't obey the law.
Yep.
That's right.
That's the thing. You're not worried about the ones that are legally carrying.
Yeah.
So this hinges to me when I look at his question, right? I got to scroll back up so I can see it. So he says,
I can put it back up.
They say when they run your name. Okay. Well, they don't. I got a license to carry. The dude standing next to me don't. We're both carrying.
I'm going to give my license.
First of all, well, no. Follow me down this road. We're not in the car. We're just standing on the street. At what point have we done something that officer wants to figure out who we are? First of all, that's first of all. And at that point, it doesn't matter. He doesn't know because he hasn't gotten our license to know that it's tied to or whatever, or our name to know that either one of us is tied to a license to carry. Yeah. If you're talking about a situation in a vehicle, right? You don't know either until you walk up and get the person's driver's license and run back and run it. You don't know. And in Texas, we have castle doctrine, and somebody without an LTC can have a firearm in their car just as easily, legally, just as easily as some with. There's no delineation. There's no distinction between the two until there's already an interaction with an officer. So it doesn't make any sense.
In some places, they can run like Ohio, they can run your license plate and know if you have a concealed carry license.
Assuming
but that assumes that you're obeying the law.
That assumes the one that is registered who's the one driving.
There's that too.
In Oklahoma, I don't know about other states, but in Oklahoma, even if you run their DL, their license plate, anything, it does not show their concealed carry permit. That does not come up with it. That is a total separate system.
The same
because
thing
we
for here in
originally had a duty to inform. That is gone now. But so whenever they you got pulled over, if I pulled somebody over, they handed you your license, and they usually either said, I've got my firearms license, or they just handed you the card with it. Their concealed carry permit. But there's no way to know other than that.
Do that. I always do, but they're tied in here in Arkansas because our state police is the one that issues our concealed carry permit, and it's actually they use the exact same picture that's on whatever on file. Your picture on your driver's license is also on your concealed carry. It's the same. They just pull it from the database, so the cop knows when they pull you over in Arkansas whether or not. But I give my license and my permit and say, "How you doing, sir?" Before we get going, I want to let you know that I am a licensed concealed carry permit, and I am carrying. Just want to let you know. And he'll say, "Awesome. Where is it at?" And I'll say my hip or wherever it would be. He's like, "Sounds good. Just don't reach for it. We're all good to go." Boom. Never had a problem ever. Never, not one problem.
You go further than me because I typically just hand them the license and then wait for their cue.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been asked a few times, where's it at? And I'll be like, it's either on my hip or in the console. He said, all right, good. Leave mine there. I'll leave mine where it's at. You leave yours
exactly
where
yours is at. As you said, just don't reach for it and we're good to go. Hey, and it's, it's one of those things where, look, if that's the question they're going to ask to make them feel safe, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I don't want to start off a traffic stop on the wrong foot. So maybe I do answer more questions or I get whatever, but it is what it is. Now in Arkansas, we're really, unless you're in a certain area of the state, you really don't have to worry about it. I've actually
clearly the best thing to do is just yell, "I have a gun," as they're getting out of the car.
Right.
Jump out and yell, "I have a gun."
Yeah.
Leave it out the window and say, "Look."
I talked to a trooper one time. And he was doing a concealed carry class. He did a really great concealed carry class. He was a retired trooper. And he goes, the last thing you do in a traffic stop is say that you have a gun. Say that you have a firearm. Say that you are carrying. Get your point across, but do not say gun.
Right.
Because he said he's been on traffic stops where you have a rookie, and they're looking around and all of a sudden they hear the word gun. Mm-hmm. And that rookie,
no, I hear you.
Yeah, they pick up or they draw their firearm.
Yeah.
So say you have your sidearm, get the point across, but do not say the word gun.
Absolutely.
Ohio is still
go ahead. Hold on real quick. I just want to do this real quick. A shout out to Crumpy out there. $2 super chat says, "Keep up the good work." Thanks, Crump. Appreciate you. We do not ask for super chats, but people have been around for a while know that all super chats on this channel go towards sending care packages to our troops overseas. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're not soliciting at all. Seriously, don't. But if you do, know where it's going. So yeah, go ahead, Budget.
So Ohio's still a duty to inform state. And I think the way you handle it, Ghost, is pretty much the right way. It's really close to what I do. The last time I got pulled over a month or so ago, it was, "Officer, I have to inform you I have a concealed handgun license and I am armed. My weapon is on my right hip. What would you like me to do?" As my hands are at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel.
Sure.
He said pretty much the same thing you guys all report. He said, "Well, just leave it there and everything's good." What are you carrying? How do you like it?
So this is no kidding. This is probably 5-6 years ago. I get pulled over coming out of a stop sign, turning left. I get pulled over. First of all, I just turned left from a stop sign. So how fast could I be going? Anyway, I get pulled over and he says, "Do you know why you are being pulled over?" And I was like, "Actually, I don't." And he said, "You were going 35." And I said, "What's the speed limit?" And he goes, 30. And I was like, "Yes, sir." Whatever. Gave him my permit and this, that, and the other. And he ended up letting me go. And he said, "Slow it down." He goes, "By the way," he's like, "What do you got in the car?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "What you got?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I followed you kind of coming out of the range earlier. And were you at the range shooting earlier today?" And I was like, "Yeah." So at this point, the traffic stop's over, At that point, we start talking about guns. And he's like, "Well, I'm just thinking about getting this. And what do you think about this?" And 20 minutes later, we're still talking about guns on the side of the roads, and people are thinking, they're like, man, that's a long ass traffic stop. But we're
Right.
actually taking guns.
What did he do?
18 minutes of the 20 minutes, it was pretty
So
funny.
what'd you do? Don't you know who I am? I'm Ghost Tactical.
Well, first of all, no. Second of all, this is before the YouTube thing, so I was just some nobody in nowhere.
He introduces himself as, "Hi, I'm Trey of Ghost Tactical Productions."
That's it.
You don't know that? Doesn't everybody do that? Oh, it's just me? Oh, my bad. Yeah, you're like, okay, good for you. Who the hell is Ghost? No, so what I do now is I hand my driver's license, my concealed carry permit, and a business card.
I thought he was going to say what he does now is he tells them, "I know Clover Tac."
That'll work.
I was thinking it was going to be a patch, but
all day, every day. That'll work.
Ooh, I should keep some patches in the
keep some patches.
That's actually not a terrible idea.
It's not.
I might have to do that.
I keep some in my car.
I'm gonna have to do
Rich
that.
says I probably thought I was getting caught selling drugs. It was just one of those things. But we had the back open and we're looking at different stuff, and it was funny. It was funny. Anyway, so the idea of this is I'm going to go through back to Clover and say the constitutional carry. And I know that you guys are fighting hard for a long time there in Texas, but in your eyes, what is the benefit that constitutional carry brings Texas?
I see it twofold. And before I go with those two, I want to first say that I have no intentions of giving up my license to carry. Much like your enhanced, it comes with too many perks and benefits.
I will never get rid of it.
And while I'm 100% behind constitutional carry, I think the Second Amendment is our permit to carry. I am not opposed to voluntary options, which is what a license to carry would be if Texas had constitutional carry.
If you're going to travel at all,
reciprocity.
It's wonderful to have reciprocity, and more importantly, if your state does this, which mine does, and most everybody here probably does, that acts as your background check for purchasing. It sounds crazy, but that's a big deal. I don't have to worry about Miller coming up with common name.
That's one of the things that we got fixed in our concealed carry permit this year.
Okay.
We didn't have that before, so now it will act as that. They're just waiting on it goes into effect November 1st, but we have to wait on the ATF to approve the.
So you're still, even
changes.
with your permit, you still have to do the background check.
Yeah, because they set up that whenever they built the concealed carry permit system, they built it not to the ATF specs.
Yep.
Okay. I got you.
The background check, so they had to fix that.
They don't necessarily recognize that as a background check.
Yeah, but the new one they do. They will now.
So
okay.
I've vented before, and I still haven't got to my two reasons, but I've vented
before. I'm trying to avoid the hour and a half to
that's fine. But I want to. This annoys me to no end, and I've got to talk about it. I've talked about it before. I bought that rifle. Bought that rifle in Tulsa, right? Yeah. And it was through a dealer. If it was in Texas, I fill out my 4473. I pay him. I walk out the door. Said and done. Okay. Here in Texas, I go to my local gun shop. That guy is an FFL. Federally firearms license or whatever, what I'm saying. Anyway, federal firearm license, FFL. Oklahoma, that guy's an FFL. He holds a federal firearm license. Mm-hmm. If I can use my Texas license to carry at an FFL in Texas, why can't I use my license to carry at an FFL? It's federal. It's a federal permit, right? In Oklahoma. What difference does it make?
You have two things going for you or against you per se. First of all, most Texans don't like Oklahomans, and Oklahomans don't like Texans for football reasons. So, one, you're from Texas. Two, you're a FUD. So, you had two things going against you.
I was buying a FUD rifle, dude. I was buying a FUD rifle. I wasn't buying a scary assault weapon. Come on.
I'm going to have to say that at Wanamaker, that's like the king of the FUD guns.
Oh, that is
the FUD guns treasure hoard.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some big dragon FUD looming over the place going, yes, my guns.
You know what makes
I think that Wanamaker is like the FUD headquarters, honestly. That's like our yearly convention of the FUDs.
Yes. You know what makes even less sense about Clover's thing? That FFL could have actually been a Texas gun dealer selling at Wanamaker and still had to do that. That's what's irritating about it.
Yep.
So It's okay. My 2 points I was going to make. First of all, is barrier to entry, right? Having to lease or pay for our rights. It's ridiculous. There are people out there that, and it was one guy that had great testimony, is because he broke it down. By the time you buy the firearm, by the time you pay for the class, by the time you pay for your fingerprints, by the time that you drive to wherever it is, or by the time you have to take off work, all of these factors, you're talking hundreds of dollars. It's not a $40 freaking permit or whatever. It's hundreds of dollars. And so that at least, okay, that doesn't eliminate the cost of the firearm, but maybe you have somebody that buys a firearm for you. Maybe you are, Yankees Pistol Project, you're a recipient of that, whatever, right? And maybe it's handed down to you and you want to be able to carry it. So there shouldn't be a barrier to entry for multiple reasons. Number one, for the constitutional argument. Number two is the process, even when it's working right and you're going through it properly and there's no hiccups, takes weeks, right? Some people don't have that time when they just broke up with a boyfriend or whatever the case may be. They may only have days, not weeks. So the barriers to entry are a huge thing for me, with multiple aspects obviously involved. The second thing, though, is once we eliminate barrier to entry and we've got more people being able to carry, then I guess it hinges off that barrier to entry a little bit, right? But when there's less barrier to entry, maybe more people will exercise that right. Maybe more people will get involved with that particular right. Maybe more people will seek out training, enjoying it more, join shooting sports clubs, join the local range, whatever the case may be, right? And by doing that and more people participating in this thing we call the Second Amendment, we get more exposure as a whole, right, for the community. Budget's lost his mind.
What was wrong with you?
I think he had a stroke.
I think he did. Before you move on, thank you, Budget. Appreciate you helping. I'll give you the good work. $50 super chat.
You sure that wasn't 50 cents and he pressed the wrong button?
It was the same. Here's the problem. He has the same issue that Buck had at Wanamaker. He thought he found himself a 44 Magnum lever action for $350. Didn't realize that the last two zeros were not the cents. It was $35,000 rifle. So I think Budget tried to make it 50 cents, ended up being $50. But
dude, you give this super chat money to good causes, so
appreciate
why not?
I appreciate it, and
it's not like you're going out buying beer with it or whatnot. Not that that's a bad thing, but you're doing the right thing.
Now, to be fair, when roll call gets monetized, that's what he would do with his super.
That's exactly, dude. Pabst Blue Ribbon stock's going to go.
And that would be 100% money well spent. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. He can still write that off because he utilizes that boost to make money on the ransom rate.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. It's a tax write-off. It's a business expense.
Absolutely. Yeah, Buck says, I got excited. He goes, dude, I found one, $350. I said, that's $35,000. Those last two zeros are not the cents. Those are part of the dollar sign. He's like, oh. Anyways, go ahead, Clover. My bad. I think Clover got his feelings hurt. It's okay, Widow Buddy.
No, I didn't. No, I was done. My 2 points were summing them up was the eliminating barrier to entries for exercising a right, and more people exercising said right. Hopefully, we'll grow our ranks as a community and have more people fighting for our rights. So there we go. Normalize society a little bit, right? Constitutional carry should be the norm, right? Not the exception. I mean, come on.
I agree 100%.
We're only 49 minutes in, and Clover's already made his 2 points. This is a record. This might be the shortest podcast that we've had.
Oh, that particular issue.
Hey, so at this point, I'm just going to boot him out to where he can't make any more points.
I'm 81% done with my points. Okay, how about that?
If you guys know what 81% is, it's funny as hell. If you don't know, go watch his 10-hour marathon of the Senate. Was it the Senate? Yeah, it was a Senate committee hearing. Moms Demand Action were there, and every single one of them were wearing their buttons, their T-shirts, and there was some erroneous poll that they were using that says 81% of Texans do not want constitutional carry. which actually about 91% do, but they probably pulled like 7 people from like the Moms Demand Action people out in the crowd. So who knows? Shout out to Stephen Elder. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. He's talking earlier about he made it another day in Seattle. So hey, that's a positive thing in itself.
Right.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go to Snob real quick and say, you guys have had constitutional carry now. Since the inception of the constitutional carry, have you noticed anything? I mean, is there any changes really? I mean, has there been a dramatic drop of people not getting their permits, or is it about the same? Or
There's
what?
been blood in the streets. It's been crazy here for the last 2 years.
It's wild
West. Wild West. It's the Wild West. No. And actually the news just like 2 weeks ago, whenever they were talking about doing the updates to the constitutional carry bill, had went out and talked to a trainer at what is that? Oklahoma Shooting Sports Center, whatever in Tulsa, the big indoor
U.S. Shooting Sports Academy. Yeah,
that's it.
I've been there many times. They're great range, actually. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, they went out and talked to a trainer there and interviewed him, and he said actually, since constitutional carry went in, he has seen a big uptick in concealed carry classes. He said now that there's not an uptick in permits getting issued, but people are going and taking the class that's $50 versus because our permit system's high. And they're trying to get that fixed. That's going to be on next year's thing, is to get the permit cost down, because I think in total you're right at $200 by the time you get one here.
Holy cow.
The first time. After that, it's only like 85, but it's high. So they're trying to get that fixed next. But they're seeing a big majority of people that are going ahead and taking the concealed carry class just to learn the ins and outs of it without getting a permit. And that's one of the big good things. That's
very similar here, since late 2019 is when we got the constitutional carry. We're seeing more concealed carry classes happening, and I haven't seen the exact numbers, but I want to say that there actually has been an uptick in concealed carry permits. Just because I think people first, they put the prices in half. So it's like $50 to get it and $25 to renew it for 5 years. So it's nothing. So that probably did help, but we have seen a lot of increase in concealed carry classes. And I want to say that our permit numbers are up, even though we are constitutional carry, which is kind of interesting. What does this say? Okay, yeah, Clover, before we move to budget, you said you want to talk about the uptick.
Oh, you don't have to do it. We can do it. We can do it later. I was just making a note so I didn't forget.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go to budget before, and we'll come back to you here in a second. See how it works, Snob? He finishes 2 points, but now he's going to have to answer everything.
He's got to reiterate on the point. Yeah, I
absolutely. Yeah. J-Dub says $200. That's all. Ours in California is with training, background, and interview with a sheriff is $700. That's if they allow it, first of all.
I was going to say, and even then, you might not get it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, budget. I know that you guys in Ohio do not have constitutional carry, but you're working on it. Do you know what? So, for the political standpoint, what are the talking points for the discussion points to go constitutional carry? Like, what are the talking points that they're trying to convince people this is a good thing?
Well, number one, it's demonstrate the benefits that it's already had everywhere else that it's already happened. Demonstrate the fact, bring out the actual facts, the actual statistics, the actual numbers that show that there will not, in fact, be blood in the streets. We kind of have already a halfway edge on that, because open carry is not regulated in Ohio. Anybody that can legally own a firearm can openly carry it down the street without a permit, without a license, without a background check, without permission, without anything. You just strap it on, sling it up, walk on down the street. It's not a big deal. So we have that in our favor. The antis are using, of course, the same arguments they were using in Texas, the same arguments they used everywhere where they try to oppose it. So, yeah, Rhino DeWine will try to squash that for Ohio. Absolutely. He is not a friend of the Second Amendment.
Is that your new governor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully he will go bye-bye here in the next election. They're trying to primary him out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it happens.
Sure. Now, Rich is talking about in Virginia, they're doing thing where veterans get their permit fees reimbursed. So that's a bill here in Arkansas. We've had a hell of a year for. We started out with like the very first thing that was signed. One of the very first things that was signed by the governor this year was the Stand Your Ground law, which before we had the duty to retreat. We now have Stand Your Ground here in Arkansas. It includes basically also a Stand Your Ground and Castle Doctrine all in one, which is great. Then we went with right after that. There's a whole lot of stuff. There was like 6 things that happened. One of them was so prior, if you were active duty military or a current law enforcement officer, you didn't have to pay for your permit fees. I think that's probably uniform around most states and all of that. But the new one says that if you were retired law enforcement or a veteran, you no longer have to pay for your permit. So that's nice. Not that the $50, which actually be $25 for 5 years, is a whole. Actually, I've got to get mine done this week. My renewal, mine it runs out in July. But my guy's like, hey, I can meet you out at the range. I'll take do it right there. I said, hey, perfect. But yeah, it's kind of cool. There's a lot of stuff going on. And what I want to talk about next is the ideas of why is it important, not just for for being able to carry without a permit. And we're going to talk about constitutional carry along with 2A sanctuary states and all that. But the cool thing is I think as of right now, there are 20 states in the union that have constitutional carry or permitless carry, however they word it, but constitutional / permitless carry. Texas would be the 21st. Now, the reason why there are 2 reasons why I think that Texas passing this is important is, well, there's one, I'm from Texas, but I don't care at this point because I don't live there. But I think what it does is when Texas does something, there's a ripple effect with a lot of other states that say, hey, if Texas is on board with this, might be a decent idea. So that might get more states to sit there and say, let's try this. Let's become the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. Now, obviously, with Texas coming in, hopefully they do pass it. You're not going to have the numbers as far as having the majority of states with constitutional carry. But with adding Texas, we already have Alaska. But with adding Texas, we by far have the majority of the land mass of America now under constitutional carry. And why that's important to me is with constitutional carry and these 2A sanctuary bills and all of this stuff adds up to a big FU to the federal government. I think what the biggest point that all of this has to make is, for some reason, and I don't know if this was calculated, I don't know if the governor's talk, maybe it was an RNC type thing saying, hey, in 2021, that's going to be the year of the state level 2A stuff. I don't know, but a lot of states are doing a lot of cool 2A stuff this year. And I wonder if that's because they're saying enough's enough. The message that it sends is to the federal government, especially if Texas gets on there. Now, the vast majority of land mass in America is under constitutional carry. What message does that send to DC? 13 states are now 2A sanctuary states. It might be more than that now, but last time I checked, it was 13 states now have 2A sanctuary status in their state. Whether or not that holds any clout, whether or not they can actually do anything, whether or not it even passes constitutional muster, which it probably may not. But the message is, in the optics of it is there are 13 states in the last 5 months, 4 months and a couple days, that have basically said, this is us. We're not taking your crap anymore on the 2A. So I want to kind of go in and real quick, before we go into that, Clover, do you want to make your thing on the uptick? Go for it. Or is he already gone? He said he had to be back in a second. But
yeah, I think he split for a minute.
Okay. So
I have one little thing to throw in there real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, the 2A sanctuary thing, like you said, we don't know that it's really anything more than a statement. But what it really is a big middle finger to the feds.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's exactly where I think that they are important. It's not the fact that I believe that it's going to hold weight in court. I don't think that it's going to be anything. Like I said, it probably wouldn't even pass constitutional muster. Honestly, let's just be real about it. But it's the message that so far in the last 4 months, 13 states have basically said, fuck you to the federal government. I love that because I think that that is a statement that we can grow on, because if we can get more and more and more, and let's say it takes 2 more years, let's say we have at that point, we might have 30 states that are constitutional carry, but it's about 80% of the landmass of America. And let's say we have 30 states with 2A sanctuary status. What is the federal government going to sit there and say? Is damn, they're serious. Yeah, they're serious. And I think that that also shows that, say, you want to try to go after and start doing some crazy ass gun control bills, go for it. We're going to sit there and say, not here, not on our watch. And I think that's a really cool statement. So what do you guys think about? Is it more of a statement thing? Go ahead, Budget. Go ahead. Go for it.
I think in theory, you're absolutely right. I think in theory, it is a great statement.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm of the opinion that in practice, unless and until I see a state actually arrest a federal law enforcement officer for attempting to enforce federal gun laws, unless and until I see a state actually arrest a state law enforcement officer for attempting to assist a federal law enforcement officer to enforce gun laws, this is nothing more than virtue signaling. It's the politicians saying, yep, constituents, see what I did? I said that we're not going to stand by and let them take your guns, shall not be infringed. Unless and until they actually do something, to quote Shakespeare, this is sound and fury, signifying nothing.
That's a fair point. Anybody want to go ahead? Go ahead, Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I understand where you're going with that, and I totally agree. But if you look at how Montana wrote their sanctuary law, they basically said that they're not going to enforce any federal laws that violate certain weapons, ammunition, whatever. Okay? And it is illegal for the law enforcement to help the feds enforce that. So basically what Montana said is, hey, feds, if you want to do this, you're on your own.
Have they arrested anybody for trying it yet?
Well, it doesn't say that we're going to arrest it. It just basically says that Montana is not going to help you.
Okay.
It basically keeps the law enforcement from
Let me ask you guys something. How much good did the Kansas 2A federal law nullification thing do the guy that had the suppressor?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kansas left that guy out to dry. They should have helped him.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's the
this 2A sanctuary stuff, this 2A, this federal gun law nullification movement that's sweeping the country means nothing unless they're actually going to enforce it and do something.
And I don't disagree with that at all. Like I said, for me, it's the optic. It's the statement that's being made is these states are saying,
it's a good statement.
It is a great statement.
Wait till the feds say right back and then see if the states do anything. Well, last time they did, it didn't work out so well for them.
Yeah, here in Arkansas, what ours basically says is it's not going to say that we're going to stop federal agencies to come in and do their job. They're not going to do that. What they're saying is if you are a law enforcement officer inside the state of Arkansas and you get caught assisting in these enforcements or confiscations or whatever, you will be fined. Now, we don't know. It's brand new. I understand exactly what you're saying. And it very well could be just an optic play, but I like the optic.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's the same thing. I mean, in Oklahoma, what do we have? We have medical marijuana. What's the difference? I mean, truthfully. Truthfully.
I mean, we had the same, we have the same thing. We have the medical marijuana, and then now it's in Montana they legalized. But if you go back, I think it was 10 years ago, we passed a law in Montana that basically says that if a firearm is made in Montana, sold in Montana, that the federal government has no jurisdiction over it. we lost really bad in the federal court system on that one. Because the whole law was written that the federal government can only regulate interstate commerce. If it's made inside the state, doesn't leave the state, and sold inside the state, then they had no jurisdiction. They got overturned. It very well could be that these 2A sanctuary states, state laws will get overturned. When we passed ours, I totally expect that ours would get overturned in a court battle. There's no doubt about it. And it's like what Trey was saying. It's the ultimate finger to the government. It's these states are going, hey, federal government, you're overstepping your boundaries. Originally, this is the purpose of the state, is to run our domestic problems. You need to stay out. Your job is to protect the country, not our state.
Well, back on that suppressor thing, I think those laws are bad for gun owners, truthfully, because of what I see happen in Kansas. And I know Clover can speak to it. I know there's one going in Texas right now.
Yeah, it's almost like an entrapment law. Like people get overly confident and then they're screwed.
Because the guys in Kansas, technically, I read a lot about the story in Kansas. Those guys were 100% within Kansas law doing what they were doing. Mm-hmm. But guess what? They were 100% in violation of federal law and they got hung on it.
Well, it's the same thing with legalization. Is if like in Montana, we legalized and other states have legalized. But if you go in and fill out a 4473 and it asks you, are you using illegal drugs? And it'll say right in there, regardless of state law, it's still illegal federally.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely. And I think a lot of it comes down to a lot of these are, like I said, they're almost entrapment laws because these citizens are thinking, all right, well, the law here in let's say Kansas says that the NFA is null and void in the state. So I can have SBRs, I can have suppressors.
And they're drilling my third hole with my drill press.
And they're drilling the third hole and they're doing all this stuff. And that happens. And not only are they going to get fined and big time, they're going to go to jail. And when they get out of jail, they're probably never legally going to be able to own another firearm again. And so once again, be careful. Understand that these are wonderful statements to make. The optics are beautiful, but you also have to understand that as much as we would like to think that the state supersede federal law, they don't. And just be careful about that.
The thing that irritates me though is the marijuana, either just recreation or medical like it is here, which is, I mean, our medical marijuana might as be recreational. You go pay $50
here in Arkansas. Exactly. Yeah.
But there's literally, I can drive in my little small town. There's 3 dispensaries. The feds aren't touching those, and they could walk in there and touch those. They're not touching those. But
dude, in Claremore, there were like 500.
Oh yeah, there is in Claremore for sure. But if I put in a suppressor shop and full auto machine guns for sale, guess what? I bet you the feds will be there tomorrow.
Guarantee it. Now,
or just buy a bunch of fuel filters.
Yeah, there you go. So Clover was talking about he'd already made his points. In our private chat, he's got 37 different points now that he wants to make. Hey. So you've got 11 minutes to make your points.
I don't need 11 minutes. 11 minutes total for the rest of the stream, or 11 minutes in a row. You got to clarify there. We're talking all this political speak. Good Lord.
All right, we can all lean back and take a nap now for a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to touch. Well, I'm not going to touch what I was going to bring up earlier, maybe later in the thing. But I do want to hit on
after hours. He's going to.
I want to hit on what we're talking about now with this. There's a couple things. First of all, the Texas, what is it, suppressor freedom or something, and then there's a made in Texas, right? Both of them deal with firearms and made in Texas, or suppressors made in Texas that stay in Texas, don't fall under federal jurisdiction.
Made by components that were made in Texas.
All got to be made here, yeah. So, but here's the thing, and it speaks to the Kansas thing and some other stuff. If you read this legislation, there's caveats that point blank says they're doing this in an attempt to see how court scrutiny and blah, 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 and it holds up, right? So they're doing this to throw at the wall.
You can't figure who the guinea pig is. It's you.
Right, exactly. So, it's pretty clear that it's not like, oh, we can just go do this. It's like, you can't go do this, but understand it's the state giving you some rope to go hang yourself, and whether or not they're going to be there to, to cut the rope and save you, who knows? Now, if we continue to have the attorney general that we got, unlike the Kansas thing, I foresee the state of Texas stepping up and, and being able to do something.
Well, that's a valid point, because even Snob was saying that the state of Kansas left that dude hang out and dry. So, I mean, now whether or not it would have made any difference, once again, we're talking optics here. It would have been nice to see the state of Kansas at least try to say, hey, we're going to help you with this and all of that. But
which, if I remember right, they ended up basically pleading that down to just misdemeanors for those guys. But still, it's the principle. They should have done something.
They could have done
that. I am not a test case.
And as long as it's a misdemeanor, and as long as it's a misdemeanor that does not get you, banned from owning firearms the rest of your life, right? Which would be ridiculous if that happened. Then, sometimes that's the price you have to pay, unfortunately, for a test case, right? I mean, how many pilots have died, right? Test pilots trying to test new rockets and new jets and new things. I mean, it happens, right? It's just a part of the game. To speak to the overall nature, I agree that it's political posturing.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, and it doesn't hold. I mean, the federal government can do whatever they're going to do, but here's the thing: if this come about because of the sanctuary, what am I thinking? The illegal alien, the immigration sanctuary states, right? Sure. That's where this evolved from. So first of all, kudos, because we're using leftist tactics for our own agenda. So we got to realize that. While I don't agree necessarily, I don't think the political posturing is that effective. Kudos for learning and utilizing other tactics, right? The other thing is it's working to an extent on the immigration front. So why? Well, I think it has to do with the people that we have in office and or the people that we have at the head of some of these bureaucracies, right, that control things. In other words, if we had a more pro-2A friendly president who is head of the executive branch, who is the head of these three-letter agencies, obviously, if we had a more pro-2A president, and then we had some of these state freedom, state sanctuary 2A bills, right? Would they hold more weight? Would we be able to get away with more when there is a pro-2A executive at a federal level? And I think the answer to that is we probably would be able to, just like we see immigration being able to be circumvented or whatever when we've got pro-illegal immigration, right, politicians in those roles.
Absolutely. G23, I think he's talking about the care package. I mean, the average cost they say is about $15. So they say it's about $15 for a care package. So there you go. Go over. There's a lot of different ones. I use about 4 different organizations that do it. The biggest one, and probably the most well known, is Operation Gratitude. That's probably one of the bigger ones, and there's about 7 or 8 that are approved by the DoD. So if you wanted to send some care packages, that's awesome. Go to the DoD, and they have a listing of different organizations that are approved by them to make sure they are not scams and all of that, and try to use the organizations that the DoD has vetted and all of that, just to be safe. But yeah, the biggest one I think is Operation Gratitude, but there's a bunch of great ones out there. So the biggest thing you can do also is if you have, I'm sorry, we're going down this road, but it was a question, but if you have like any military base around you, even a National Guard base or a reserve base or something that's around you, you can take items. First of all, you can contact them and ask what are the guys and gals asking for downrange, and they'll tell you what they need. Most of the time, it sounds crazy. It's not what you would think. Most of the time, it's socks, stuff like that, toiletries and all of that. But you can ask what people are asking for, but you could also take those items to that base, and they'll take them from you and they'll make sure that they get sent over. So you can just do that as well. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do and all that. I appreciate it. What's up, Yehuda? Go check out Pew Pew Jew. We all know Yehuda. Great guy. Awesome dude. But yeah, there you go. Was I interrupting someone? I apologize. I'm not that smart. I literally
Probably Clover.
No, I was done. I was done.
Okay. All right. So, and I tend to agree that I think we're all agreeing that there is, this should get 5 down range. Okay. Thank you. A $19 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. That will get, yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, G23. I appreciate you. So I think a lot of it comes down to what I'm liking, once again, is the gesture, the statement, the whether or not it's political pondering. It doesn't matter. It's the statement that looks. I guarantee, because I had this conversation with someone, and they said, "Well, it really doesn't matter." Then I said, "It does matter, because I promise you, if you have a representative or a senator in D.C. that may be anti-gun, or maybe I'm not going to say a Democrat, but it may be anti-gun or tend to lean the anti-gun route, and they see that their state has passed constitutional carry, they've passed a 2A sanctuary bill, they have all these different things at the state level that are being passed. What's that going to sit there and tell that representative, hey, you personally may be anti-gun, but the state has overwhelmingly voted in favor of these pro-gun things? That might change how they feel at the federal level, knowing that if they continue to go anti-gun, they may not get reelected the next term. So it does play a role at the federal level, even though it might be just statements and all of that. Understanding that everything that happens at the state level, if you don't think that the federal government is recognizing what's going on in their states, they may not listen all the time, but don't believe that they don't know what's happening. And so there's something to be said about that, especially a state like Texas, where there's the vast majority of the land mass of Texas is probably very conservative. Unfortunately, just like in most states, the urban areas are typically going to be at least liberal leaning. But if states are overwhelmingly passing these things and they're overriding vetoes, our governor is not very popular right now. He is not just 2A stuff, but he's vetoed 3 or 4 bills in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and all of them have been overturned. That's not good for political clout. You got to have political clout if you're going to be able to be successful at your job. So once again, the signal of this is the big finger to the federal government. But on a personal level, that federal government, your representatives, your senators that are at DC, they're keeping track what's going on, because if you don't think that's going to possibly change how they vote on some stuff at the federal level, knowing that their state is overwhelmingly doing this stuff, that's part of it as well. It does reach to the federal level. It's not just a state level thing. Let's see here. There was a couple questions that I wanted to get. Okay, so DJ says that Nebraska is a shall issue state. Purchase permit for handgun is $5 for 3 years. So this is something I want to bring up, because this is a thing I want to go. But the carry permit is $100 for 5 years plus a state approved course. So within this room, does your state, do you have to have a permit to purchase handguns?
We don't believe in Jim Crow laws in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
North Carolina has it.
Evil.
Yeah, that this doesn't make it. I get it's $5 for 3 years, but it's still the fact that you guys, that's weird. That's crazy to me.
Now, North Carolina, I know their purchase permit is superseded by their concealed carry permit. They're not required to have one if they have a concealed carry.
So if they have a permit, concealed carry, they don't have to get. Okay, that makes more sense.
But it's still, I think I seen. Well, Sarge sent me a link the other day, because whenever I did my top 10 states video, I didn't even consider North Carolina because they have a purchase permit, and he griped about it. He sent me a link the other day. They were trying to do a bill to get that removed, but I'm sure their governor isn't going to do anything pro gun.
Well, what gets me, or what floors me, is we're talking about Nebraska.
Yeah.
Really? We're not talking about some New England state
Illinois
or something.
or Illinois.
It's Nebraska. Like
What's
Nebraska, Nebraska people need to rally and stand up. I think Nebraska could get some stuff done if people.
If we could get Texas and Nebraska, it'd be Mexico to Canada constitutional carry.
It would absolutely.
Yep,
it would. And once again, you see that whole middle belt there. The Illinois of the world may, or and I'm not saying that will, but if the Illinois of the world saying everyone around us is this, why can't we be a little bit less, whatever? Is it going to reach up to California, New York, and all that? I hope. Probably not. Let's be honest, but I hope. But that's what I'm saying is the ripple effects of all of this could be huge. You get the majority of the land mass of America is under constitutional carry if Texas goes. Once again, that's another statement that the land mass of America believes in constitutional carry. So once again, it's all important.
Clover
who cares about the flyovers?
It's his neighbor. But what happened to Louisiana's constitutional carry? The governor threatened to veto it, I know, but it was going really good.
Let's find out.
It was, last I heard, it was in the Senate.
I know he was threatening to veto it, but our governor vetoed our first constitutional carry bill, and she got replaced the next year.
Yep.
Here you go. This is from The Advocate. Legislation ending permit require. This is 6 days ago, by the way. For concealed carry advances in Louisiana legislator. Let's see here. I'm trying to get down here. Oh, of course, you got to sign up and pay your credit card to read the rest of it. So let's go try to find another news.
Paywall.
In all seriousness, so
10 seconds. Go ahead.
By next year, when more of these states go through the legislative session again, I could very easily see 27 constitutional carry states.
Oh yeah,
very easily.
Oh, easily. Very easily.
Because Indiana was really close this year. Louisiana was really close this year. Texas should get it this year, hopefully. But either way, they're going to be really close if not.
Well, we don't have a next year. See,
oh yeah,
that's where
every other year.
That's where matters in Texas are so urgent, and a lot of people don't see that because they're constantly bombarded with all these states doing all these different things. Texas doesn't work like that. If we don't put 150%, 190% into the effort right now, it's 2 freaking years before we get another shot. So the idea, I love the way that Texas is set up because politicians can only screw it up half as much as other states, right? Screw things up. That's beautiful. Unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword where if we don't get it done, then we've got to wait. And 2 years is
you're going to be way behind if Texas
politically 2 years is forever, man. It's like all the work you've done. Yeah, all the work you've done to secure the votes and to rally the people, and you've got to start all of that over again.
I mean, it took us 4 legislative sessions to pass ours, and that was 8 years. Because we're the same thing as Texas. We only meet every other year, and 3 times it went up to the governor and got vetoed by the governor, and then now the governor changed. We finally got it through.
We've never had a governor problem with it. That's first of all in the times that it's been introduced. Our problem is we had a Speaker of the House and or his crony buddy that succeeded him, whatever. That was our problem, our primary problem. And that's what aggravates me and is aggravating a lot of people right now is that we've got it on both ends. We've got it booked in. The House was pretty much a slam dunk. It was bipartisan support. And then now we're supposedly running into these issues with the Senate. That's never been an issue before. Right. It doesn't make any sense. And so that's why we've got to keep the pressure on and get it done.
Well, and we're talking in Arkansas the same way. We're at every other year. So next year will be a fiscal session. So our next legislative session will be 2021. So yeah, I mean, if your state is organized like that, first of all, this is a great time to educate yourself in your state level politics, to figure out, are you an every year legislative session, or are you every other year with a fiscal session in between? Here's a lot of things. Most people don't even know when their legislative sessions start and end. Most people don't even realize that it's not a whole year. It's not like they're in session.
Not even just a couple months here. I don't know what it is in other states.
It's like 4 months here. Because ours ended like the 29th.
That's when ours is too, I think. But so see, ours is still technically going on, because if they've got it through one house and have to send it back, it's still alive.
This is true. Now, when the session ends, it just means that that the bills have to be, by the end of the session, they had to be introduced and at least gotten out of committee. If they were introduced and out of committee, they're still good to go. They can schedule a floor vote, and that's just on one house. And so let's say it's been introduced the day of, and it got out of committee the day of in the House. It's good to go, even with having to go to the Senate and all that. But yeah, but as far as the actual session, it's just one of those things where people don't realize what the session is. And there are recesses you can be in recess for umpteen different reasons. They'll come back, they'll be in recess till the fall, but understand that. And the reason why in Arkansas, it sounds crazy, but the reason why Arkansas, ours ends in April and they'll come back and recess in like October or November is historically because of the farmers. They let the farmers go back to their farms during the planting and harvest season to do their jobs, and then bring them back when it was time to do all that. So historically, there are reasons why certain things happen in different states. It's kind of crazy. All right. So Clover says, I couldn't find anything that was definitive. The last thing I saw was AmmoLand 6 hours ago that the governor has threatened to veto, but Clover has found something. Go for it.
You're muted, buddy.
Clovalorian?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm muted while I was doing this. So I don't have anything on the veto, and I've got the movement on the bill itself.
Okay.
So on the 27th, it passed the Louisiana Senate 26-11. That's a pretty significant margin. And it's a Senate bill, SB 118. So now it's moved into the House, and as of the 29th of April, according to this, it's in the Committee on Administration of Criminal Justice. So.
Now, I remember seeing something last week. I was keeping up with it there for a while and I don't know if this is because the House doesn't like that Senate bill, but I think there's like 2 or 3 other House versions floating around. Does it say anything about that or no?
Nah, not. I would have to. I'd have to look. Like I said, I was looking at that specific bill, so gotcha. I'd have to know the bill number.
Well, I remember. Well, I don't know. I remember reading something last week about that's why it was taking long to get out of committee and all of that in the House, is because there's already like 2 or 3 House versions of it going around. So who knows? Right. What's going on?
And they may use some type of reconciliation, right, to just combine the other two together.
They can do a concurrent. They can take a House and a Senate, call it a concurrent bill, and say, here it is.
Right.
You know what I found is odd in Oklahoma? I may have just not been paying attention before or whatever, but I was paying pretty close attention to the concealed carry permit bill because that was pretty near and dear to me after getting delayed too many times. The House had a bill and the Senate had a bill. They were identical. They passed each other's bill, and they both went to the governor's desk, and he signed both of them. And they were literally identical bills. I don't understand it. I have no clue why. But I'm like, hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, that is
W
strange.
is a W, right?
Yeah, but at this point in Oklahoma, pretty much anything, unless it's just crazy out the wall, is going through that, like OK2A has been pushing. I mean, it's getting out of committee, it's getting signed off on, and the governor's signing it because they've got control of everything right now in a super majority. And
so let me ask you this, because I haven't been aware, but I don't keep up with Oklahoma politics, unfortunately, even though you're my neighbor. It is what it is. It's like you don't keep up with Arkansas politics, but first I'm going to ghost you here. There's a couple questions here. How long has OK2A been around? And I just only started hearing about them about a year or 2 ago, but if they've been around longer, has the rise, at least from my vantage point, the rise of the OK2A, have they helped push? I mean, the reason why I'm going with this is I think we all understand that local organizations have a lot more power than people think. But has this been something OK2A has been around for a long time, or are they just coming into power now?
They
What?
started in 09, I believe he said.
Okay.
And I've been a member since 15, I think.
Okay.
And they've really started doing getting a lot of stuff straightened out. But see, like even our constitutional carry, the Oklahoma State Rifle and Pistol, whatever that one is, the version of NRA, they were actually against constitutional carry, and they went against it, which was whatever. But so pretty much they lost all clout with most people in Oklahoma when they did that.
Yeah. So
yeah, OK2A has been excellent.
OK2A, yeah.
And they have one person that's full time. The one guy's full time. Everybody else is just
wow.
And he spends all his time at the Capitol when they're in session.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's just one of those things we have, and it's not affiliated with the GOA, but it's called the Gun Owners of Arkansas. It's a group that's been here for probably about 6-7 years, and it's been pretty instrumental on getting the ideas to our legislators that, once again, the death by 1,000 cuts approach is maybe would work for constitutional carry, would work for stand your ground, it would work for all this other, and it did work. And that's the whole point is, and I know that Clover knows a lot of the actual GOA of Texas people and Texas Rifle Pistols, whatever that. I'm not sure exactly the Texas Rifle Association, whatever it's called. I think it's called the TRSL or something like that. I don't TRSA or something, but I don't. You'll talk to it, but and I'm sure Budget and Rogue probably know of their organizations at the state level. But I think that what we're seeing is it's nice to see, and maybe once again we've all talked about this, that the quote unquote fall of the NRA could be a hugely impactful thing positively for all of us, because now we don't have that elephant to lean on. And I think we've all, and everyone in this room I know for years have been preaching state, local organizations. Start your staking locally first. And you're starting to see all these state organizations grow up, because I think that now that we didn't have Big Brother in, there to protect us, we had to start doing something on our own. And I think that these organizations have been around for a while, but in most states' cases, the rise and the relevance of these state organizations have really gotten stronger in the last couple of years. And I think that's because the NRA kind of took a step back. What do you guys think about that? Feel free to just jump in.
Oh, yeah,
when you're talking about the fall of the NRA and the rise of these other ones, I caution everybody to not distinguish between the fall of the NRA from the social impact with training and other things and the political side. Political side, totally agree. The all of the training and the social aspects on the other end is detrimental if we lose that. We have to save that portion of the NRA in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether another organization picks it up, whatever the case may be. That has to be saved. That is a death knell if we lose that. A lot of people don't realize it. But you're 100% spot on that I think that a lot of these other state organizations can pick up the ball. I think they already have, as Snob is illustrated down there, and ran with it. The same thing has happened here, quite honestly. I used to be a director for Texas State Rifle Association. You had that right, TSRA. And unfortunately, and it's one of the reasons that I went one term and then I never ran again, was they took their cues. And this was really before the modern shenanigans of the NRA, right? Wayne LaPierre buying suits and that kind of garbage. This was prior to all of that. But even then, TSRA took a lot of their cues. We had a great in TSRA, a great was with us the entire lifespan of the organization. Alice Tripp, a great lobby. She retired, rightfully so. She put in her time. She was a fireball. She's done wonderful work. Texas State Rifle Association, with the problems with the NRA, because they tended to take a lot of cues from the NRA. So with the problems with the NRA, coupled with the loss of an amazing lobbyist, the NRA has fallen, the TSRA, I should say, has fallen back here in Texas. And honestly, the GOA with Rachel and Felicia, oh my God, are crushing it. They're doing, I would say as an organization, better than the TSRA. So they've built on and learned from mistakes. Both of them are, both of those gals are just as feisty as Miss Alice was for TSRA before. And I think that if TSRA ever gets their crap together and can get a lobbyist that's got the fire and the passion, right, of, let's say, Rachel with GOA or another person that was like Alice before, once they finally get a good lobbyist, will it even be stronger in Texas? Because we'll have two amazing organizations. And that's not counting Open Carry Texas, Texas Freedom Force, Texas Handgun Association, and the various other small organizations that are here in Texas.
One from Hobby Lobby. That's great. Snob, before you were so rudely interrupted by the damn leprechaun. You got to be quicker with the buzzer, man.
I know. The middle of my sentence got in the way of the start of his.
I didn't even notice if it.
Of course,
got to talk over it.
Why would he notice that anyone else was talking? Go ahead.
I don't know, but he made another point now, so I've already forgot my first point. But he was talking about the suits and stuff of Wayne LaPierre, like our state organization, OK2A. Don Spencer's the president of it, and he's the lobbyist that's there at the Capitol. And he just recently went to getting paid from them full time. Before he had to have a job and still do this, but in the last few years, he's got to be able to work full time for them and do what he loves doing and do what he does good. And I don't care what they pay the man. They could pay the man more than LaPierre makes, and they could buy him suits, fly him airplanes. He's getting the job done. I don't care what he gets paid if he's getting the job done. And that's like if the NRA was getting the job done. I don't care what he's getting paid. If he's doing the job and getting stuff passed, I don't care.
Absolutely. That's the whole point. I don't think that anyone would have had a problem with the suits and the vacations and the jets and the hotels and everything that Wayne was doing had he been actually doing what he was supposed to be doing, was protecting, not serving up the 2A to whoever was the highest bidder in Washington. So once again, I think you're right. If Wayne would have been doing what he was supposed to be doing, then I don't think anyone would have cared, nor would they questioned his motives or what he was doing with the money. I don't think they would have cared. As long as he was doing what he was supposed to do, great.
I think you're more right whether they never would have questioned.
Yeah, sure.
That's where they really opened themselves up to scrutiny, is when you're not doing your job. Like, you go to work. I mean, think about it. It doesn't matter who you work for or where you work. If you go in and you're doing your job every single day to the best of your ability, right? Or you go in and you screw up constantly. Which one is going to get noticed first? Probably the one that's getting screwed up constantly, because they're going to fire that person and find somebody who can do the job.
That's right. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, if we had nationwide constitutional carry, or even nationwide concealed carry reciprocity right now, if we had the NFA getting repealed, the Hughes Amendment getting repealed, stuff like that, if the NRA was actively working for that, I don't think anyone would have cared in the least.
Hell, they don't want to give him a raise.
Yeah, exactly.
If any of one of those would have gotten gone, not all of them, if any of them, at least there's progress at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The latest you look at, the last 6 things have been a negative towards a 2A. If there had been one positive step forward, they probably don't look.
Mm-hmm. But it's all been backwards, and nationally. Truthfully,
to me, this is, and I might be off of this, but it's when I stopped my membership to the NRA personally. But I think where it happened was in October of 18, when the Vegas shooting happened. And the NRA came out with a joint statement that basically said that they agree that bump stocks should be looked at. That right there was the beginning of the end. Because at that point, people were like, we haven't been paying attention. We're going to give them our $15 a year. We're not paying attention. Say what? Mm-hmm. And then the spotlight came back on them. They're like, oh, damn it.
To play devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
to play a ghost. Maybe they were right. Maybe they had the votes in the Senate at that point to go after bump stocks and do more and take more. Maybe they did.
Sure.
But I'm of the mind that no matter what they had, NRA should have came out against them doing anything and fought it. And if we lost, I guess we lost more than what we would have lost. But at least they came out and fought for what was right, not
if they had something working in the back room, one thing, but publicly, here's the thing. I'll say this. I don't even think they needed to come out for bump stocks. If they just would have not made a comment at all, it's better than coming out and saying, look at these things. If they just would have left it alone, I think it's better. Sorry, it was I interrupted somebody. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Whoever was talking. I heard someone getting ready to talk. No?
I was chiming in and just saying, I was agreeing. I was agreeing that I think so too. I think they brought attention to things that there shouldn't have been attention brought to, you know.
Yeah, Snob, was it Budget? Were you on the road to saying something there? Nope. Okay. I heard someone, maybe it's just, I have multiple personalities. It might have been one of them trying to get out. I thought I had that door locked, but obviously not. Let's kind of go take a step because there was some pretty cool stuff that was said earlier. I had to go find it. And School Cram was right. Elections are just a huge hiring process, and they need to remind. That's the biggest thing is whether or not they believe it or not. I think that politicians tend to believe it more at the state level because they're making stipends. They're not getting paid a salary necessarily. They're getting paid stipends. They have to keep their normal 9-to-5 jobs. They're getting paid a stipend to be a state legislator. So I think that they're going to remember that this is a temporary job at best. And I don't know if you guys remember the movie Dave. And I love it was with Kevin Kline. He played the president who's a lookalike, ended up having to become the president because the president had a stroke or something. If you ever watched Dave, go watch Dave. But he had a great line in there, and he said, being the president or a politician it's a temp job, and that's what it is. We need to look at, and they need to be reminded of that this is a temporary job. And if you're not doing your job, then your contract's not going to get renewed. And we talk about that a lot. But I think that what's happening is with a lot of stuff in the state, once again, I'm going back to the state level doing stuff that are sending ripple effects to the federal side. I think that it is a big, big deal because for the first time in a long time, when it comes to two-way stuff, for the first time in a long time, for some reason, like I said, I would love to find out if this was a coordinated movement this year. Maybe the RNC did some stuff. I don't know. But there are so many pro two-way stuff going through so many states right now, almost at the exact same time, that I think it's a beautiful thing to see because, once again, whether or not they want to admit it or not, the people in the federal level in D.C. know what's going on. And I think that that's what's hugely important. That going to the question of the show is, our constitutional carry, our two-way sanctuary states, our stand your ground laws, our anything that's pro two-way, are they worth it? And the answer is absolutely. Whether or not they hold the weight of law in the court systems, we don't know because we're just starting this process. There's a lot of these constitutional carries or two-way sanctuary bills that might get challenged in courts and get shot down. But are they worth it? Yes, because it's the message that is being sent. For the first time in a long time, we, the people, seemingly are taking it back and saying, no more. We're not gonna take it. This is our bill.
We're not gonna take it.
Yeah, we ain't gonna take it. But yeah, it's just one of those that this is our Gadsden flag is. Don't tread on me, homie, because we're not on our watch. I'm not gonna say we're not gonna take it because I don't want to start dancing again. Get a little Carlton going, but but we're not. And I think that is wonderful because the people in DC, this is their job. They're career politicians. The more things we can shove in their face saying, look, we're not going to do this anymore.
Well, the nice thing on the state level is if you want to get in contact with your state rep or your state senator, it's not that hard to actually meet him in person. I have met mine in person.
Oh yeah, mine
on a total separate issue.
5 minutes from me. Yeah, absolutely. And you can meet them at the donut shop probably because once again, when they're getting paid a stipend, so they're going to be living back in their territories doing their jobs. You probably know them, especially if you're like where I live and you live in Clover and probably Road. I don't know about Budget, how big of a town. but all of us probably like have met them personally and can find them anytime we need to talk to them at their local business.
You know, I've told this before. I had an issue with our former county commissioner would not take care of our road. I mean, I live on a gravel road. It was horrible. And I called, nothing.
Won't go down there. So.
Well, yeah. Well, anyways, it's good now though. But I ended up finally getting on the phone with our state rep, and he actually came out in his vehicle and drove these roads and called me back and said it would be handled. You know, and he called me. I had his cell phone number, but now he's the mayor of Veneta. He's not even a rep anymore. But so I mean, he was just super. Gave me his number, said he would take care of it.
Yeah. He says he's probably making more money as the mayor because that's an actual salaried position. You know, and I want to bring up something that was pulled up there is term limits. Now in Arkansas, we went to term limits not too long, a few years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, whenever it was. And I think that's one of the best things that's happened because you had people that he's a friend of mine. He's much older, but he was the Speaker of the House for this, not just elected as a representative. He was a Speaker of the House for like 30 years. Like he was the most powerful person in Arkansas, above the governor, even at the federal representatives or senators. He was the Speaker of the House for like 30 years, and they did term limits now. And I think that term limits are good because at this point, people can't be focused on becoming a career politician. They should be focused on doing whatever job that they can do at the best because they know they've only got blah, blah, 8 years or whatever that is, 10 years or whatever. They're not going to be there for the rest of their lives. And I want to get to you guys. We're all going to bring you in. Unfortunately, bro, the other four of us, we hang out like in person a lot. So you got to be quick because you can get left out of conversations with us because we all like to give each other hell. So you need to jump in more and just jump in the deep end and say, hey, I'm here too. Clover, shut up. But do you guys have term limits in your state at all?
We passed ours not that long ago. I think it was probably about 6 or 8 years ago we put in term limits.
Have you seen a positive effect of that or negative?
I see a positive effect. It's because we started seeing things get passed because like other states, we only meet every other year, and even then we only meet for 90 days. There's 90 working days every other year, so you've got to get things.
Session. Yeah, okay.
The legislative session. So you got to pass things. And you got to pass them quick. And things were getting drugged down. And once term limits were over, these politicians knew that they were on notice. You got to get your job done. And the velocity of what happened in our legislative sessions just increased. Things started getting passed. Things were getting done. And in all, we were starting to see a positive effect with just the citizens.
Yeah,
citizens are getting a little more involved.
They need to because they've only got X amount of time. So yeah. Now, budget. You want to go ahead and say what you're? First of all, I'm surprised. That's a long ass. I mean, that's almost a damn full year. That's crazy. But
it's their job.
It is, so they're not paid a stipend. That's their full-time gig, huh?
In Ohio, our legislators, both the House and the Senate, make what is the number? $60,584 a year, and they run from January 4th to December 31st.
Now, do y'all have?
They run all year.
Do y'all have an alternating session where legislative fiscal?
No, they do whatever, whenever.
Oh, so every year they're
sticking their grubby little mitts into everything they think they can.
Now how long have your term limits? Has that been a long time thing?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I hadn't been paying attention to local politics as well as I should have for as long as I should have. They could serve 8 years in the House or Senate, and then if they want to, they can flop and run for the other body, and then they can serve 8 years there, and then they're done. So a total of 16 years in office.
Which I don't have a problem with that. It's one of those things. But I guess 8 years. That's a little bit. I don't know if ours is 8 years. I want to say it's like 6 years.
Well, there's several terms in there. The Senate is 4-year terms, and the House is 2-year terms.
Right.
So they always got to be running for office, but it's
it's
a total of 8 years. Then
Yeah,
they can go to the other house, or I guess they could serve 2 in one, 2 in the other, or whatever.
Sure.
Flip flop back and forth if they really wanted to, but that would be kind of ridiculous.
I'm trying to avoid Clover because this could go deep. So, Snob, you're up next. Do you guys have term limits? And if so, like, have you seen a positive thing with term limits?
I don't know when they like budget. I didn't used to pay enough attention apparently because I have no clue when they were implemented. But yes, we have term limits, and I just went and looked up how long they were because I did not know that. I just knew we had them. They are 12 years total. They can do a combination of both houses or just one house, but it's 12 years period.
Find out what ours are too. So it doesn't matter. It's 12 years total.
Mm-hmm. Whether they serve it all in the Senate or all in the House, it's 12 years total, or they can mix them.
Let's see here in Arkansas. It started in 2018.
I'll go see if I can find when ours came in.
Ours was started in 2018. It started in 2014 that permit legislators to serve a total of 16 years in the House or Senate, thereby doubling and more than doubling the amount of time a lawmaker can stay. Previously, representatives could serve up to 2 3-year terms, while senators could serve up to 4 2-year terms. This measure would have imposed terms to 6 years. So basically, it's the total, it looks like, of 12 years total. Saying the same thing. It doesn't really matter, but you've got X amount. You can't go like budget says 8 years in one and then go 8 years in another. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want, but you've got X amount of years total, which I have seen. I have a lot of friends and acquaintances that are representatives, senators, and all of that. And I have seen a positive thing because they know that they don't have the rest of their lives. Now they might be setting up for a U.S. representative or something else that you never know what this is going to lead to. Maybe you run at the governor, attorney general, or whatever. But they also know that they're going to have to get their stuff done. They can't just kind of hide in the shadows and hope that no one notices that they're even there and all that. If they want to get something done, they need to get it done quickly because time is of the essence. Now, Clover, do they have term limits in Texas? I think I've talked about this, but do you want to go into that a little bit?
They don't, but
is there a movement for it?
Not really. I think Texas has played this a little differently. Our folks make so they get a base salary plus a daily per diem, when the legislature is in session, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So if you add that up, the most they could possibly make over a 2-year term is like $45,000. The most they could possibly make,
including the per diems and everything.
Including the per diems, yeah. So Texas has took a strategy where, you know what, you're going to do good to live off this. you know. So rather than the term limit approach, Texas has this is the way I see it anyway. It's taken an approach where, you know what, we're just not going to pay you.
They're just going to starve you to death. So you're going to
have to live in the real world. You're going to have to get a job in the real world, or have a career, or something.
Those jobs are going to be in the places where they live, so they're forced to live with the people they're representing.
And realize that they've only really got one session except for emergency matters, right? So our sessions run January through May, January, February, March, April, May, 5 months. So over 2 years, roughly, you've got to work for the state 5 months, right?
So by the hour, you're making pretty good money.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you figure that out.
The fiscal sessions and the odd number of years. Do y'all have fiscal sessions?
No, we do not have sessions. Period.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we have legislative 1 year and fiscal the next. So they're going for 4 months, and then they'll have a couple months in the fall. I got a recess. Let's say 6 months a year is what they're there, but it is every year. It may not be legislative, but they're still there during the fiscal session as well. So it's about 6 months that they're there, roughly. I'll tell you what happened also here in Arkansas was a few years back, and the ripple effect was, I'm surprised it passed, but they almost didn't have a choice because there was some weird stuff happening. They also passed a law that now the lobbyists could not pay for anything, for not even taking them a cup of coffee. They couldn't buy them lunch. Much less take them on trips. Used to, they would take them to the Super Bowl. They'd take them to wherever. These lobbyists would, take these representatives everywhere. They can't even buy them a cup of coffee anymore. And that has changed a lot because, once again, they're given a stipend as to be a representative or senator here. They can make some serious money from the lobbyists if they needed to. And that went away. Now, whether or not it really went away or they just got creative is another issue. But on the surface, it was a ripple effect because people were like, oh, snap. Like, we can't just be out and about and like publicly flaunting that I'm taking this representative to a NASCAR race in Dallas. All expenses paid on the Walmart jet or whatever. They can't do that anymore. So I think that there are things that the checks and balances of keeping our elected representatives in check, because now if they know that, one, there's term limits, and two, the money may not be worth it because they can't get the soft money anymore. That might keep certain types of people from even running for office. It might make it to where the only people that are going to run are the ones that are truly in it to be Mr. Smith goes to Washington. And that's a wonderful thing, I believe.
Well, we also, I forgot to mention this, we have a constitutional amendment that our sessions, there can't be any more than 140 business days, active days, whatever you want to call it, in a session as well. So that's the maximum. That's the limit. It's like, that's the hard cutoff. Right.
Yeah, there's something I need to find out what Arkansas legislative.
That doesn't count weekends, obviously, or holidays, or it's not congruent or whatever. But yeah.
So like ours started in January 11th, and but the filings could begin in November. They could file stuff as early as November, but as far as so our session lasts 60 days unless legislature votes to extend it. The governor can issue a call for a special session, which he did last week, but it's a 60-day session, concurrent 60 days, not necessarily 60 days altogether, but it can only run for 60 consecutive days at a time.
Well, that and you even though it's divvied up between the fiscal and the legislative, I mean, that's still, you add those together over 2 years, that's 120 days. So it's similar to what Texas does. We just do it all at once.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that it's only 60 days. It just means it's only 60 days in a row. They can have recess and come back. They can have special sessions.
Yeah, it doesn't have a max cap.
It doesn't have a max cap, but it can only run for 60 consecutive days.
I don't know that I like that. Y'all need to push for a max cap. Put a max cap of 100 days or something on it.
Oh, I'm sure there probably is, but I was just reading the basic Google stuff, and there's no telling how deep it goes. But yeah, anyways, damn. Wow, I just looked at the clock. It's been 2 hours. So is there anything else that you guys want to bring up, or is there any topics that I might have missed out in the chat that we want to talk about, or no?
I want to talk about the instructor thing. I want to go back to
what
absolutely. I was say when we talk about that, because that's been a point of contention, law enforcement and instructors for whatever reason. But the instructors I want to talk about specifically. I noticed something strange. And maybe it was just me, but with the testimonies the other day, I noticed that the instructors that are against constitutional carry, I'm going to put this out there because other people in other states may see this pattern. It seemed to be a bunch of old crotchety dudes. Yeah. And then the ones that were okay with it are the younger guys. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if you don't have a bunch of old buds, whatever. I can say it because I is one. That I wondered if you don't have a bunch of these old crotchety dudes that are old, they're lazy, they don't have anything else to offer, and the only thing they do is the license to carry. So that really cuts into their stuff. If there's constitutional carry, and people may want to go get basic handgun training or advanced handgun training or flipping over the hood of a car handgun training, these old crotchety dudes don't teach that, right? So they're screwed. So what do they got to do? They've got to double down on, we don't need constitutional carry. Whereas the younger guys teach all of that stuff. So they're not going to lose anything. They can pivot, right?
Absolutely.
And continue to make, and continue.
Okay, Ross.
And continue to make, that's a Friends reference, everybody. And continue, and they can continue to make money, right? And so I just sort of seen that dynamic. I don't know if anybody else that watched the footage or has been paying attention have noticed that, but I have, and it's disheartening.
No, I understand. Well, I don't like it, but I understand why there are groups of instructors that will not support constitutional carry. I get it. But I truly do believe, I've seen it here. Like, I haven't seen the actual numbers yet because those won't come out for later on this year until the 2-year mark. We're collecting data over a 2-year since the inception of constitutional carry. I'll see it later this fall. But I can see it here. The uptick and at least the awareness and the want to. Right. Well, it doesn't matter what kind of training, whether it's just concealed carry or if it's advanced stuff. Right. I've seen a huge uptick in the last 2 years of people expressing vocally and saying, I would like to go get some training of some kind.
I think
so. It is what it is. Yeah.
I think we had a conversation privately about this, but there was a guy in the hearing that was from Texarkana.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, because he's able to do Texas training plus Arkansas training, right? Yep. Being in Texarkana. Absolutely. And he was talking about that Arkansas's got constitutional carry. He's like, look, this is not a big deal for Texas. Arkansas has it. I am backlogged 6 months on my training sessions from the Arkansas side of things.
And we have constitutional carry.
Yeah. He's like, this is not an issue. One other thing I want to hit on real quick, if I can, because it was out in the chat earlier, and I kind of addressed it in the chat, but I want people to understand this. The other issue of contention is law enforcement being against this.
Sure.
We hit on this a little bit last night with Devin on my live stream, but the law enforcement thing, make no mistake, is purely political. Mm-hmm. There's no other. It's political and it's organizational. The higher up police chiefs that are members of the brotherhood organizations, blah, 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 works kind of almost like a union. And all of them typically lean Democrat, they lean liberal, they lean. And so they make the decision whether or not that quote unquote organization supports something or not. That doesn't mean.
Who's the leader of the organization? Usually it's going to be from Houston, Dallas, or Austin.
The big departments. Right. The big departments. So the rank and file underneath them, if they speak out, they could lose their job, they could get reprimanded, they could whatever. So when you're saying that, I'm not hearing a lot from the good law, well, it's because they'll lose their freaking job if they do. It's a sad situation. So don't,
like the guy that donated to Kyle Rittenhouse did.
Right. So don't confuse the law enforcement issue in Texas. It is politically driven.
California State Assembly with their house gets paid $114,000 a year, 12 years max.
Yeah, but that's like
50 cents for the rest of us, though.
I was gonna say that's like 14,000 here in Oklahoma. So
right, that's minimum wage. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but seeing those numbers, you go to someone in North Dakota. $114,000 sounds really damn good, probably to a lot of them. So here in Arkansas, $114,000 goes a long way in Arkansas.
I've said for a long time, whether it's state or federal level, here's what I'm for. Whenever the legislature is in session, you cut their pay way back. Term limits, okay, that's fine too. But whenever they're in session, at these capitals, literally screw the whole office thing and all this, build military barracks. If you're a legislator, You go down for your session for whatever it is, 3 months, 5 months, whatever it is. You live in a military barrack with the other legislators. That's where you live while you're down there doing that. And can you have an office, or is there like a, maybe like a SHOT Show with big long tables and computers set up or something like that? Sure. Have some kind of place where they can obviously do their work.
Instead of doing barracks, I say a squad bay where it's open.
Well, I don't know enough about the military thing, right, to get too specific. But you see where I'm going with it.
Are you talking about open room with bunk beds?
That's what I was talking about.
And hell yeah, I'm in on that.
With bunk beds, yeah.
Please
squad bay with Firewatch.
Politicians gone wild. Put some. I mean, there would be some crazy shit going on there. I promise you.
But no amenities, right? No amenities.
Hey, you got to do group showers. Group. You walk to the chow hall together. You're going to be together. I'm down. It'll never happen, but I'm down for that because you want to get stuff done. They're going to have to live together. So. Do we really want to start going crazy against each other? Because I got to live with you. Like, you're my bunkmate, bro.
It's the damnedest thing. They get everything done in 1 week.
We hear it. We hear it all the time from new politicians that as soon as they walk in the Capitol doors, they're ushered to their little clique, their little corner, their little group, their little whatever, right? Everybody gets isolated.
Yep.
And that would end that. It would be over with.
Absolutely.
So if we have a barracks or a squad bay, do we get rid of the whip position and it becomes the blanket party position?
I'm all for blanket parties, man. In case y'all don't know, it's when you get a sock and you put some soap in a sock, wrap it up, and you take care of people that need to be taken care of.
Nice.
So yeah, you voted against me, pow, pow.
Right? Right. No kidding. Seriously.
And the Firewatch, so people don't know what Firewatch is. It's the security. Like we have people, at least 2 people at any given time that are patrolling, making sure that no one's leaving, no one gets in, and all that. Yeah, man, you lock those doors at midnight, and if you're outside the barracks, you ain't coming in, and if you're in, you ain't getting out, and whatever happens. But that would be interesting. The concept of an open squad bay living conditions, would be awesome.
You get military pay, and you basically have to live like active military.
And your per diem is not. You don't get paid for your per diem. They give you a chow hall, and you
you've got everything provided for your housing, for your food, for your transportation. All that's provided.
Yep.
Yeah, and you don't get extra. You get what average military, let's say, makes, and you live in the same conditions. On base type conditions.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Redneck Boy says no Whataburger for them. That'll get the job done. They'll get that stuff. Like Snob said, they might be done with everything in a week. It would be inhuman.
Well, they could have leave when they weren't in session. I'm talking about when they're in session, right? Most of them have a part. Here's the thing.
It's money through so weekends they can go home or whatever.
Right,
but
like
Friday,
most of them now have apartments or whatever in Austin.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do away with that. No.
Matter of fact, I want to say that they're probably paid for by the constituents.
Well, the per diems and stuff certainly help. That's part. That's. I would venture to say that's mostly what the money that they put out or they spend on stuff is probably for housing when they're down there.
Yep. I'm off. You do something like, hey, you have to be. This is a Monday through Friday type thing, so you have to be in the squad bay by midnight Sunday night / Monday morning. Okay. And you can leave as soon as session's over on Friday. You don't have to. You can go home for the weekend or whatever. I'm all for that. I think that'd be a really interesting idea. I love it.
And federal level.
Ooh, the federal level. Ooh,
yeah, federal's where it needs to happen for sure.
Yeah, because you're talking about people in $1 million homes. Forget apartments, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got $1 million extra houses in Washington. No, you live like the military, like active military. Sorry.
The military get better barracks and all that.
I guarantee. Now, because if it's written that you will get the average military living conditions, dude, the Marine Corps is getting ready to get a serious facelift.
Are you saying, and this is just coming from what y'all have said, are you saying,
for everybody?
Are you saying they're going to get Air Force conditions? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I'm not going that far. No, seriously.
I know, quite that good.
there's a story behind that. So I'm in Okinawa. This is in like 95. And there's a huge Air Force base down there. And they were doing some renovations to their living quarters. I'm not going to call them barracks because it wasn't living quarters.
Right.
And so our base, there's like 6 Marine Corps bases on the island. But the base that I was at, it's only half used all the time because people rotate in. When we're going somewhere, they just rotate in and out, in and out, in and out of this base. So half the base is always open for whatever reason. So they said, well, while we're getting these living quarters done in the Air Force base, we're going to send a bunch of E1, E2s, and E3s up to Camp Hansen. And since they have all these open barracks, they've got room up there. So they came up, and I remember it was like on a Thursday. By Monday, they were gone. And I said, dude, where'd the flyboys go? And they're like, oh, well, they're living over now in the officers' barracks.
Wow.
No joke. E1s, E2s, and E3s are living in Marine Corps officers' quarters because they came and said that our living conditions were unsatisfactory for the Air Force. We live there every day. So they moved. There was an E1 is living in the same housing condition as like a captain and an officer, a major, a colonel, same quarters. And I'm just like, that's the Air Force.
I've got a friend. And I remember he spent like 12 years in the Air Force, and I can't remember now. But I remember him telling me the story, and I can't remember now where he said he was stationed. But they literally had like a 10 or 12 story apartment building that the military, like DOD purchased it, and that's where they all had their individual apartments, literally.
It's no joke. They have like apartments / condos.
Yeah.
Like they have their own separate bedrooms.
I mean,
like,
view of the ocean, he said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, why wouldn't they? God bless them. You know, they need to de-stress after they work every day, you know?
Right.
I'm just kidding, Air Force. Not really. But no, I think what it comes down to is like in the Marine Corps, the nicest barracks in the Marine Corps, you have 2 people living in it. And you have your own private bathroom for your room, which means you don't share with 2 other guys.
Uh-huh.
But the Air Force have like individual bedrooms for each person. That's absurd. I mean, we don't know what that is.
So I don't necessarily want to chase this rabbit hole, but I know that we got people that are in the military, and I'm curious because the people I know that were in the Air Force, you talk about military branches picking on each other and all that.
Oh, yeah.
The people I know that were in the Air Force, most of them readily admit that they had it all great. And you know what I mean? Have you ever met anybody from Air Force that gets offended by when you start talking about that?
If they're offended, they won't say it publicly or to my face. They just don't. One of the greatest stories ever. I've never met anyone that got offended. They are like, yeah, you know, probably right.
That's true. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So this is no joke. We were at a bar. This is in Okinawa again, and it's like 2 a.m. And you can imagine we're having a good time and probably can't remember much. But we were hanging. There was a couple Air Force guys that came to the same bar a lot, so we ended up being friends. And they were kind of cool guys. We're like, hey, come hang with us and all that. They were just cool guys. One of them goes, it's like literally at 2 a.m. He's like, oh crap, I gotta go. We're like, oh, everything okay? He goes, no, I've got my PFT, which is his physical fitness test. It's an annual test that you have to do certain things to pass. And it's like 2 a.m, hammered drunk. And I was like, bro, like tomorrow? He's like, yeah, I got to be there in 5 hours. It starts at 7. And yeah, I need to at least get a couple hours sleep. I'm like, I know what we had to do.
Right.
We had to do 3 miles in 18 minutes, 200 sit-ups or 100 sit-ups in 2 minutes and 20 pull-ups. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not. There is no way in hell that I'm doing that being drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning. He goes, oh, no, bro. Don't worry about it. He's like, we don't do what you guys do. And I was like, okay. So like, what do y'all do? And he goes like, he didn't want to tell me because he knew I was going to get pissed. And all of us, it was like 2 of us, and he knew that we were going to get pissed. He's like, nah, I don't want to tell you. I'm like, no. At this point, you got to tell us. He's like, man, don't get mad at me. I didn't write it. I just
right.
I said, any conversation that starts with that, then this is ought to be good. He said, they get on this is back in like 1994 or whatever. They get on an exercise bike and ride for, let's say, 10 or 15 minutes on an exercise bike. And if their heart rate is within a certain level, they pass. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. And I was like, I could do that drunk and probably pass,
All right. Might even help.
I got a buddy who was in the Air Force and he just giggles about all this shit. He's like, yeah, it's totally true. That's exactly how it was. He said it was a joke, but he wasn't going to complain.
Yeah, so Jason's this exactly. So Jason said he was in the Corps for December 5, by the way. He says we shared bathrooms, 4 Marines, 2 toilets, 2 showers, 2 rooms, shared bunk beds. We didn't have in Pendleton and in Okinawa, we didn't have bunk beds. We had individual beds. So we had this it was basically like a big square ass room, in the barracks. There was 2 beds, like 2 wall closets, 2 desks. It's like a dorm room. Okay. It's the best way I can describe it. It's a dorm room. You could arrange however you want to. You could do bunk beds if you want, but you could arrange the room in any way you wanted to. I think when we showed up, they were bunk beds, so we could take them apart and do whatever we wanted to. But we had an open room that had a mirror. And then we did have in Okinawa, we shared a bathroom with the room connected to us. In Pendleton, we had our own private bathroom. So I was like stepping up. I got the Pendleton, like, oh hell, this is nice. This is great. But yeah, it was interesting. What's even more interesting is we had 1 shower. In Okinawa, we had 2 rooms sharing a bathroom. We had 1 shower. But if you wanted to, in the middle of each floor, there were like 10 showers in a community shower that if you have roommates that were going to take up all the time in the shower, you could go and use the community. And most people actually did use the community showers because they didn't want to have to worry about hey, I don't use that shower, so I'm not cleaning that shower. The community showers got cleaned by a mama-san. The individual showers had to be cleaned by the people. He's like, look, I don't even use that shower. I use that one down there, so I'm not cleaning. That's what most people use, the community showers. But it was interesting. Jason, we raged in those barracks. Oh yeah, dude. If you ever, and I'm sure at all military branches, but if you ever truly want to see what, it's not even controlled chaos, it's just absolute chaos, go to a Marine barracks on Friday night. And it's nuts. It really is. It's crazy. Like the last thing you ever want to be is the duty NCO on the weekend. Like I would take duty NCO on a Tuesday all day long. Like if my duty ever came up, I was on like a weekend, I was looking for anyone to trade not because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there on a weekend because it's crazy. And I'm sure that Army, Navy, Air Force, they all have their crazy times, but it was stupid how stupid Marines got on weekends. Just saying. So I don't know why we got down this road. How do we even get down here? I don't know. Anyways, let's get off that.
I did it on purpose.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah. So anyways, man, it's been a great chat. I want to bring in real quick, Rogue. Any last thoughts that you want to bring up, and then go ahead and tell people where they can find you, what projects you have working on, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, final thoughts is get involved. Learn who your legislators are. If you are worried about the federal level, there's only so much you can do. You can do more at the state and local level than you can do at the federal level. Start there, work the legislative process, and then start getting bigger and bigger. And if you want to contact your federal reps, absolutely do it. Contact them to the point where they don't even want to return your emails, and then keep emailing them. My wife actually hit that with one of our congressmen. She was pissed about 3 things, and she's got him to the point where he won't even respond to her emails. And she upped her email counts from 1 a week to 3 a week. And just become a pain in the ass to your legislators, because that's your God-given right. So get involved. You don't have to be a master at politics. Just pick one thing that you don't like and then just go after it and just be relentless with it.
So you're talking about, you're taking the Shawshank Redemption thing where he wrote a letter for every week for what, 5 years, ended up saying, hey, here's a check, here's some books, leave us alone. It does work.
It does. And then when they give you something, just ask for more.
Absolutely. Make sure you do this. I know you got more over there. Yes.
Yeah. So just go after it and just be a pain in the ass to your legislators, because they're there to represent you. Make sure that they're doing it. As for me, you can reach me on YouTube or just about any social media platform. Just look for the Rogue Banshee. You can even Google the Rogue Banshee. You'll find my webpage and stuff like that. I've been releasing content every week now. So it's on Fridays. I have a video coming out on Friday for a product review. And in that video, you're going to see a gun that's 105 years old.
Nice.
Yes, I did steal it from my wife's collection.
Ooh, I think I know what it is.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little earlier. So make sure you check out the channel on Fridays and see what we got in store. So thanks for having me on.
You got it. For those of you out there that don't know, when Snob's camera is off, he's either not here or he's eating. Now that his camera's back on, he's good to go. So how was dinner?
No, it's my internet is so crappy that sometimes I have to turn it off so you're not roboting and I can actually understand.
I'm just joking.
And I usually give it a little bit and try it again, and it works for a while.
Yeah, I see that Sarge is first out there, so thanks for being first out there in the chat. Fantastic. Whatever. He and Obnoxious or the old Doc. Doc loves coming in 2 hours in saying first, but this is at least Sarge, at least he showed up, so it's awesome. He had a link, but it is what it is.
He's working.
What's over your left shoulder?
Mine or
Snob.
Over my left shoulder?
The
Daisy air rifle sign?
Oh, is that what that is?
One of those metal signs says it's a Daisy.
Oh, okay.
Just one of those signs you buy at like Branson or somewhere.
Jason says, glad I found this channel. Semper Fi, Semper Fidelis, brother. Welcome to the dark side. We hope we don't screw your life up too badly, but we'd like to have fun. Snob, since you're talking and all that, before your internet craps out, tell Stacy to get back on the damn wagon wheel and keep running a little bit. But anything you want to kind of follow up with, or if not, kind of tell people where they can find you, what projects you might be having coming up, and all that.
We'll do what Jason said and all that stuff.
Yep.
And
find you at the Rogue Banshee also.
Yeah, you can find me at the Rogue Banshee also. Let's see, what else do I have? Support your local 2A organization if they're doing good work, and a lot of them are a lot better work than national ones. So if you can, support them, because $25 a year, $50 a year means a lot more to those guys than it does to a national one. I promise you'll get more for your money. But try to support both. But if you can only support one, I'd go local first.
Yeah. Because we were talking about this, and the reason why I asked you earlier about how long OK2A, because I've been going to Wanamaker for years now, and this was the first time I remember people talking that OK2A was there. Have they always been there?
I think they've had a table a few times before, but this is probably, they're getting a lot more well-known now that they've been getting stuff done. These, like constitutional carry, really, a lot of people that didn't know who they were learned who they were after constitutional carry. And I know Weston's a big part of it. He does a lot.
Yeah, he is. Yep. I think Wes was, he worked all night Saturday night and then spent all day Sunday at the booth. So I'm not really, like I said, I don't remember anyone talking about, hey, make sure you go stop by the OK2A booth. But I heard that from a ton of people this past, a couple weeks ago at Wanamaker, and I was like, okay, maybe they're new, but they've been doing. So Sarge is trying to help you out there. He's trying to. I'm
surprised he didn't tell you to support me at patreon.com/C4 Defense or something.
Oh, that's coming.
Wouldn't have put it past him.
Yeah, he's trying to space it out a little bit. So yeah,
that'll be next. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, bro. Budget. Anything you want to kind of follow up on? If not, tell people they can find you and what projects you have coming up.
I'm Mike with Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. You can find me here at YouTube at Budget Guns and Gear Reviews or budgetgunsandgear.com. I have finally going to be putting out some more gun content. I've been hitting the bushcraft and woodsman stuff pretty hard recently. Started that Woodsman Wednesday series, which, by the way, 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, there is another episode of Woodsman Wednesday coming out. We'll do a premiere, but you don't have to be there for the premiere. You can watch it, whenever you want after it drops. But,
I mean, Budget's not even there for his
come to
premiere all
premieres.
the time.
No, yeah, I did miss half of one. I was busy editing video, hard at work in the salt mines, and I just lost track of time. The overseer wouldn't give me a doggone water break, so that sucked.
Hashtag first world probs.
Yeah, right.
We're talking about living in barracks and having free food at the chow hall. And you're like, oh, that's terrible. Hashtag first world problems. There are people in this world that would love to have barracks food. Yeah. Go ahead.
But so come check out that premiere on Budget Guns and Gear Reviews tomorrow. I normally do a live stream called The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. However, this Friday it will not be happening. It will be happening Thursday, though, at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm going camping Friday, but I didn't want to short you guys a show. So, yeah.
That's the great thing is like me last week. I just took the week off and said to hell with the fans. I don't care about
I did that the last couple times, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that because
people like you actually are nice. You actually make up shows.
Budget's a full-time YouTuber now, so he's got to be. He's got to be kicking butt.
He is a full-time YouTuber.
I got to be trying anyhow. If I'm not, I'm going to be having to get a real job again, right?
Oh Lord! Don't go out.
Next week, though,
Glover's got rashes. He hears real job. He's got rashes over his ass right now. So just be ready.
Next week, I will not be doing the Right of the People on Friday as well. I'll be doing it on Thursday. Next week, next Friday, I'm heading down to Camden, Tennessee to Tactical Response. And
you're going to J. James
on my birthday, I'm going to be spending the night in the hotel there. And then the next day, spending the weekend with James Yeager, taking his fighting pistol class.
Where are you staying for the class?
Some hotel there in Camden. I don't know.
Okay, so you're not staying at his place or
no.
Racks and Rucks, whatever it is.
No.
Okay. What is it called? Racks and Rucks.
Yeah. No. I booked a room at a hotel.
Yeah. Next time, if you ever go back,
I plan to
with James or go to Racks and Rucks, and they actually charge. It's like a hotel, but it is a community. It's like bunk beds in a squad bay with pool table, couches, and all the students that are there stay together. So you're cleaning guns together. It's awesome. Are you taking fighting pistol?
Yeah.
Do me a favor. I know you're going to be tired and all that. Give me 10 minutes when you get in the car and you leave the class Sunday. Call me.
Okay.
You won't understand it until Sunday, but when you get there Sunday, you'll know why to call me.
Well, hey, next week, and I'll talk to you about this off the air.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste any more time. So yeah, you can find me here.
I
Also,
wasted 2.5 hours of people's time. So what the hell's another minute?
Also, in the interest of being a self-promoting whore, I want to thank Artak and Daughters for being my first channel member. I just opened that up today, and he signed up. He was the test case. So thank you, Artak. If you guys want to help the channel out, go ahead over there and click the join button. All right, now I'll go ahead and stop being a self-promoting whore.
Hey, I'm all for it. Hey, whores they got to work too.
That's right.
They've got to. If you don't have a pimp, they're going to have to do the self-promotion. The pimp will usually. Right. Hey, if you're your own pimp, you've got to work hard at it.
Well, and the bad thing is when I don't have my money, then hey, man,
I've heard this.
For a 10%
I don't have my money, I
gotta
gotta tune myself up. So yeah, that ain't right.
I said for a 10% cut, I'll be his pimp.
I'm not even going to touch that one. Yes. Next Wanamaker is going to be fun because I think well, he doesn't know it yet, but I'm pretty sure that Roll Call has already assumed that role of his pimp. So
Maybe
we'll see. If nothing else, you might be Roll Call's pimp. I don't know which one's worse.
What happens in the car on the way to Tulsa happens in the car on the way to Tulsa.
Well, unfortunately for them, is they go live the entire trip to Tulsa, so we know exactly what happens in that car.
Next time it'll be on OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm. I learned some new language on his way home. I mean, I didn't even know some of those words he was saying on the way home.
Hey, the murder hotel was horrid, dude.
So, like, literally, I haven't laughed harder in a long time. And my wife, I had it on speaker, so my wife is rolling laughing. She has no idea who you guys are, what you're talking about. She's rolling because she's laughing at the sound of Roll Call, hysterically laughing for 30 straight minutes. Could not stop laughing in the car.
Roll Call was going to die.
I did too. It was so funny just to listen to him dying that we didn't stop laughing either. I was like, what are you laughing at? I don't know. I'm just laughing at Roll Call.
If you guys don't know what they're talking about, when we came back from Tulsa, we stopped at the Super 8 Hotel in St. Clair, Missouri. Go to a bunch of Guns and Gear reviews and check out that video because I live streamed my reaction to that. Well, in honor of May the 4th, that wretched hive of scum and villainy.
And that's being nice.
Yeah, that's being real nice.
That's not the word you used on that live stream.
It's not the word.
If you have sensitive ears, don't watch that live stream.
And I'm pretty sure that was not what he used on his Yelp review either. I told Roll Call, please screenshot your Yelp review because
I'm just curious. Cool. Is that live stream suitable for all advertisers?
It's not suitable for anybody.
Like I even sent notice to advertise on that. No, that would be a great one. Anyway, so yeah, appreciate you coming on. Mad says that was a nasty night. That there are times where I love road trips, and doing road trips with friends are even better. But that's a road trip that I'm glad I wasn't. That section of the road trip I'm glad I wasn't on there because
everything else was great. Everything else was awesome.
I mean, to be fair, though, the motel you all stayed at in Claremore is where the dead body was found. So 7 years later.
We forgot about that. Now,
I had nothing to do with that.
So weird. Now we know that was not because of lack of showers. There was a dead body on the first floor.
I was a couple doors down the first night, and I didn't smell nothing. I was down there in 111, and I didn't smell anything.
Might not have been dead at that point. It could have
might not have been.
Where were you at 1:03 in the morning on the night of the 7th?
Sleeping.
Bullshit. All right. Anyways.
Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's true. All right.
It's been in the attic.
It's been burned at this point. There's no more trace symptoms of substances on that anymore, so it's been burned. Right.
I burned everything after I left the Super 8.
MDA, yeah. And the investigation starts. Clover, bring us home.
Well, first I want to say
complete 2A. Like at this point, he's going to be a new Texas 2A team.
I've racked up some 2A points, that's for sure. Yeah, I'll get to that in a sec. So, it's May the 4th.
He's got G's stamp of approval. You're now 2.
Yeah. So, happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, all that good stuff. It dawns on me about halfway through this that as I normally do on a Tuesday, I forgot to drop a freaking video today. I've been so inundated and focused on this Texas constitutional carry thing and getting things done, which I guess is much more noble than trying to pimp out some flashlights from Streamlight or shotguns from Gerson. But I promise we're going to get back to the regularly scheduled program eventually. We will win this constitutional carry battle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. Yeah, exactly right. And I've got a flashlight though, not a weapons-mounted light, unfortunately.
Well, I got a flashlight in yesterday also, so that's interesting.
Buds don't have rails on their guns.
The same
That's
one.
true.
The same one I got.
You would have to drill this into like the wood stock on this rifle. Yeah.
So just so everybody knows, we'll get back to it. If you're living in another state and you're like, I'm tired of this dude talking about Texas constitutional carry, we'll get back to the normal stuff. I promise. But yeah, I'm not right now. I'm going to rail on the whole politician thing. One thing I want to say, there's some comments out there, and we got to treat these politicians, these elected officials, almost like children. Somebody said something about staying on them. I think it was Rogue had some really good insight on that earlier. I say that we need to hold their feet to the fire, and that doesn't mean just griping and moaning and complaining when they do something wrong. But they need to hear from us when they do something right. Got a great video of an amendment over in the House that was proposed by a Democrat. She didn't vote for the frickin' bill, anything else, but you know what? She proposed one heck of a great amendment. And they need kudos for the things they do right, just as much as we hold their feet to the fire when they do things wrong. I talk about the negativity in this world, and people just want to hyper focus on the negativity. And I think if you're fair to them, I think that maybe they'll be more fair to you. With that being said, while this was going on, I've got a few more confirmations that potentially the floor vote in the Senate will happen tomorrow for constitutional carry. So with that, I'm going to throw the number for the Austin switchboard. You guys need to be on the phone. If you live in Texas, you need to be calling the Austin switchboard at 512-463-4630. Again, it's 512-463-4630. Talking to your senators, talking to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and maybe even talking to some senators that aren't even in your area. It does not hurt to let them know that all the eyes in Texas are on these yahoos. We see what's going on, regardless of whether you publicly made your stance or not. The vote's going to happen, and we're going to know where you stand. So either your silence is going to tell all, or your vote's going to tell all. It's your choice. So call those folks, and again, 512-463-4630. Let's get this done. Number 21, baby. Great chat. Thanks. I know 3 hours in or whatever it's been, but it was good.
I want to go into what you just said and say I disagree with what you said in a part of it. I actually literally do want to actually hold their feet to the fire. I think that would be cool as hell to literally set up a contraption that you sit there and put them in there 10 feet off the fire and build a bonfire. And we obviously know A&M knows how to build bonfire. Well, they did.
Well, not necessarily.
Ago, yeah, that's a joke because I hate A&M. But but I actually would literally want to hold their feet to the fires. I just
want to make it known that if we're treating them like children, I ain't changing the diapers. Just saying.
Right? Yeah, no kidding. Mad says, with how we hold their feet to the fire through emails, what's to stop them from ignoring us when they praise them even? Well, let's honestly be honest. Most don't read their own emails. Even at the state level representative senators, they have secretaries that are aides or interns, probably, honestly, interns reading it and passing on the ones that they filter through to that representative.
So have we got a second for me to talk about tact here? So here's the thing.
Just because you did a 10-hour fucking live stream last week doesn't mean that I want to.
So budget ends his one shots and whatever single shots and all that with the, what do you say about the call right? Say it, Budget.
Contact your Congress critters and elected representatives. Let them know what you think. Send them a snail mail, email, telephone, telegraph, semaphore, heliograph, bicycle messengers. Do whatever you got to do to let them know what you think and never, ever, ever give up the fight.
Yeah, so he's 100% correct. The correct way to approach your politicians is all of the above, right? All of the above. You not just email, not just call, they have to be in their districts and their regions. They have to be there, show up for those town hall meetings. Look them in the eye and say, this is what I want. This is how I feel. This is what you should be doing. Again, all of the above approach. I think that's really important. Second thing is, because I've had this a lot in comments as I've been covering constitutional carry, people asking me, where's the best form letter, this, that, and the other. Well, you'll see my avatar has the 81% that moms threw out there, the bull crap percentage that we've completely made a joke out of, right? When you pick up these form letters and all of that, you're doing the laziest, worthless thing you could possibly freaking do. Use your mind. You know how you feel. Speak your heart. Speak your mind. Put it in your own words and send them that email or say it over the telephone. Stop relying on, yes, these, organizations, state level organizations, whatever, they put out some good stuff. Read that. Put that in your own words and your own thoughts, and then relay that to your elected official. Don't repeat those talking points verbatim. Don't copy and paste that crap. Why? Because just like the 81% is a mockery at this point, at least for me, those people pick up on that kind of stuff really quick, and they go, oh, well, we've heard this same exact thing over and over and over. This is a bot. This is a form letter. These are people that aren't involved. They're not paying attention. And you know what? If you're so lazy that that's all you can bother yourself to do, then they're absolutely 100% correct. I'm done.
I got something to add here. And to be fair, the form letters are usually written in proper grammar and all this. But I mean, if you're in Texas and you're emailing your senator, you don't have to write it in proper grammar because they're a Texan too, and they can't read proper grammar. They only read this Texan grammar.
Kidding. All right. Sorry. No, and you're right. Yeah, but yes, the form letters, I think initially were great ideas, and FPC, I think it does a great job. GOA, but don't just copy and paste, like he said. Use that as a template of your own words. Use that as a starting point and go with it what you will. There's a great movie. One of my favorite movies of all time was a movie called holy shit, what was it called?
Well, that's an interesting title.
That's a great movie.
Politician movie.
Everybody be sure to go watch Holy Shit. What's it called?
I would watch that movie actually. I know, Finding Forrester.
What was its rating on Rotten Tomatoes, please?
4. It actually got 4, but it was called Finding Forrester. It was with Sean Connery and all that. It's about a kid that Sean Connery was a really famous Pulitzer Prize winning author in this movie and all this, that thing. Anyway, so this young man wants to learn how to write. And he said, here, he's write something. He goes, I don't know what to write. He goes, what do you mean you don't know what to write? He goes, just write something, whatever comes to your mind. And he was like, that's a lot of pressure. And he said, well, here, read mine, start writing the first sentence of mine, and then go with it on your own. So use those form letters as that. Start with that, and then let it, morph into your own thing. So, Full Metal Jacket, great movie. Speaking of which, I did actually, hey, thanks for that, by the way. That reminded me that I actually have a fucking video out that came out last week about fucking movies. My top 5 favorite military/war movies out there. So yeah, interested in that, go check it out. For me, I've got some stuff. If you're a patron of mine or a channel member of mine, you've got a video that I think I put out there yesterday, the day before. It'll be released soon. It was the most fun I've had in a long time in reviewing an item. Go check out. If you're a patron or a channel member, go check it out. Like I said, I got reinvigorated in the reviewing process and making review videos. It was a lot of fun and all of that. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Could have some really cool stuff in the next couple of weeks happening. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm going to be like Braden, brothers and sisters. I've got so many cool things happening this year. I can't tell you what any of it is, but you'll know when you know, and I'll see you in 6 months or whatever.
I thought you were going to put the fish on the end of a rifle when you said that.
Hey, don't give it away.
Oh,
damn it, son. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Spoiler alert, man. Jeez.
I've already cleaned it with my fucking knife. Now I've got to. People don't
Fish
know.
break. Hashtag
If
fish
you
break.
if you know, you know. If you don't,
Dude, you need to melt
don't
down
worry
some
about it.
Swedish fish and cast it into one big ass Swedish fish.
You
And
can
put it on a
buy,
rifle.
no.
you can buy
have
big
them
Swedish
already.
fish.
They're already there.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. That's
Just
awesome.
don't know how I know that. Just say that I know that.
Yep.
So Pete says, so there I was eating crayons. Now write the book. That's how I would start out my fucking thing is. So I was sitting there eating a grape crayon and then just let it go from there, you know? Sure. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for the $5. Appreciate you, Pete. Really do, man, for a lot of reasons, but thank you so much. Anyways, guys, it's been almost 3 hours. Hamster break.
That's just wrong, Ob.
That is so wrong. Is it called a hamster break or is it a Richard Gere break? I don't know what would it actually be.
That's a gerbil.
That's a
gerbil.
Doesn't fucking matter, bro.
Hey,
Gerbils are smaller.
words mean things.
Gary has a
hamster is not
guinea pig he
gerbil.
might loan you for this.
Oh, if you don't know, I don't want you to go give this guy a view. Just know that it's coming and you'll understand.
Just getting a channel strike now.
Oh, yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are officially off the rails for the podcast.
This is the shit show has officially begun. No, I am actually working on a video it's going to be YouTubers exposed, and you can only imagine some of the topics and creators that we will be discussing, if you want to call it that.
Just don't read Ob's comment. Don't.
I will not put that up on the screen. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate you for that. Good Lord. Cow break? Ooh, Rich might have crossed the line on that one.
We should probably end this.
Yeah, we probably should. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We've just been demonetized and probably kicked off of every platform that podcasts go to. But if you're still with us, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon. Simplify. Wait, did we get everyone? Yeah, I talked to everyone. All right. Simplify.